Warrior Lore. Chapter 1328. Translator. H2DH2 Mr. Du Xiaofu's gaze also landed on the elegant youth. The aura emanating from his body was even stronger than Jialo Jueyo's. There are really many strong people here. Du Xiaofu secretly felt the aura of the youth and sighed in his heart. As expected of the great golden-winged rock clan, the strongest of the younger generation. Above Kyushu, even Mu Jianqin, Yu Zhengtong Xian, Mu Qingge, Feng Wuxie, and Bailey Wuya could not compare to him. As a member of the great golden-winged rock clan, he had an innate talent that was terrifying. Fortunately, the heavens were relatively fair. The stronger the bloodline of a clan, the stricter the amount of derivation power. If there were as many members of the great golden-winged rock clan as there were as many of them as there were humans, it would be a disaster for the entire world. At that time, even if all the living beings worked together, they would not be able to contend against the great golden-winged rock clan. Once the great golden-winged rock clan wanted to do something, it would be a devastating blow to all living beings. Third Commander. Greetings, Third Commander. As the elegant youth's figure landed, cheers sounded from all around, causing a heated commotion. Jialo Juekong landed on the square, looked around and nodded. Then, he smiled at Jialo Kaling. Jialo Kaling nodded, then said to Du Xiaofu, "He is the third commander of the clan, called Jialo Juekong. He is much younger than Jialo Jueyo, but he is stronger. Among the younger generation of the clan, his talent is enough to be ranked in the top 5. However, in terms of cultivation, if he is ranked second in the clan, no one would dare to be ranked first. He can be considered the number 1 martial fanatic in the clan." Du Xiaofu looked at Jialo Kaling and asked, "Fourth Commander Jialo Jueyo, Third Commander Jialo Juekong. If you are the Grand Commander, then there should be a second commander, right? Another guy with terrifying talent?" "You're right. His talent isn't just terrifying, it's extremely terrifying. If it weren't for this competition, he would have broken through to the Beast Domain realm long ago," Jialo Kaling said to Du Xiaofu in a casual manner. "I could have broken through to the Beast region a long time ago." When Du Xiaofu heard this, he couldn't help but gasp. Jialo Kaling was already abnormal enough. Who knew that there was such an abnormal existence among the younger generation of the golden-winged great rocks? At this moment, Du Xiaofu truly felt the terror of the golden-winged great rocks. From the younger generation, it was enough to see the foundation and strength of the golden-winged great rocks. After taking a deep breath, Du Xiaofu's face slightly twitched. He asked Jialo Kaling curiously, if he didn't break through to the Beast region, how could it be related to this competition? Jialo Kaling looked at Du Xiaofu. She didn't seem to plan on hiding anything. She said, "It's not just related, it's also greatly related. The top 10 of the competition can enter a secret area to cultivate. The closer they are to the top, the greater the benefits they will receive. The effects of the secret area are the best for cultivators below the Beast region realm. In order to not waste the spots, only those above the Beast region realm have the chance to participate in the competition." "So that's how it is." Du Xiaofu nodded. Just as he finished speaking, a rather sharp voice suddenly sounded. "You were the one who heavily injured fourth brother?" Looking over, Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly and saw Jialo Juekong walking over from the plaza, standing at the edge of the plaza in front of him. Jialo Juekong looked directly at Du Xiaofu. There wasn't much kindness in his eyes, and he appeared rather sharp. At the same time, the disciples of the golden-winged great rocks also looked over with complicated emotions. There were many protectors of the golden-winged great rocks around the plaza, but none of them said anything. Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked at Jialo Juekong. Before he could say anything, Jialo Kaling had already spoken. She said to Jialo Juekong, "Today is the day of the competition. You should save some strength to deal with Jialo Jueyu." "It's fine. Since second brother isn't here yet, I won't use much strength to deal with a human. It won't take much time either," Jialo Juekong said to Jialo Kaling. His gaze was still sharp as he looked at Du Xiaofu. "Jialo Jueyu doesn't seem to be able to move today. If someone wants to follow in his footsteps, I don't mind helping," Du Xiaofu said with a faint smile. Someone had picked him. Although he didn't want to cause trouble, Du Xiaofu wasn't someone who was afraid of trouble. Following Du Xiaofu's words, which were obviously impolite, the surrounding disciples of the golden-winged great rocks immediately raised their gazes. Following Du Xiaofu's words, Jialo Juekong's faint golden pupils suddenly constricted. The expression on his face became more and more sharp. Whoosh whoosh. It was also at this moment that there were many figures in the air, bringing with them the sound of breaking wind. The entire plaza suddenly became much quieter. As if sensing something, Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes and looked over. As many young men and women landed on the ground, there was a young man in the middle. He wore a light yellow robe with golden edges. Even when he landed and stood there quietly, he was like a piece of flawless jade. He was handsome and had a unique charm. Greetings, Second Commander. Following the appearance of the handsome young man, the surroundings were in an uproar. Second Commander. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes and looked at the handsome young man. He had just learned from Jialo Kaling that he was an absolutely terrifying person. Jialo Juekong's sharp gaze relaxed a little as he looked at the handsome young man. The handsome young man nodded slightly to the surroundings. He took a few steps forward and stood beside Jialo Juekong as he said, "Third brother, what's wrong with you?" "Nothing. I heard that fourth brother was seriously injured and has no chance to fight today. An insignificant human has to pay the price," Jialo Juekong said. Jialo Jueyu followed Jialo Juekong's gaze and looked at Du Xiaofu. A faint golden brilliance fluctuated in his eyes. His long eyebrows were raised, and there was a fierce, domineering aura around him. The invisible aura on his body had greatly affected Little Falcon, Phantom Tiger King, Zither Demon, Wild Bear King, and even Ghost Chariot and Divine Ape King. He's really strong. Du Xiaofu's heart sank. An invisible aura fluctuated from the handsome young man's body, and the surrounding space had silently distorted as a pressure quietly spread out. This kind of aura was definitely not something that an ordinary person could possess. The handsome young man before him was definitely an extremely dangerous person. With the arrival of Jialo Jueyu, he also looked at Du Xiaofu. The noise around the square had almost completely quieted down. Many gazes were currently focused on the two sides, guessing whether there would be an intense collision before the grand competition. Boom! Suddenly, in this quiet atmosphere, an aura trembled high up in the sky, and it was particularly eye-catching. In an instant, a dazzling golden light spread out in the air. The dazzling and resplendent golden light caused very few people present to be able to open their eyes to look directly at it. As the golden light appeared, it immediately connected to a row of simple and unadorned seats in the square. Then, nearly 20 figures walked out from the golden light. The golden light faded, and nearly 20 figures filled the square with majestic auras. The space around the vast square was secretly trembling at this moment. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. He had seen many of these figures in the Great Hall before. They were the 5th Elder Jialo Yuan-Tu, the 4th Elder Jialo Yi, the Great Protector Jialo Huanyu, and other experts of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan. At this moment, there were 3 old men in front of these experts. All of them had white eyebrows and looked very old. Looking at the appearance of the 3 old men, they all looked to be in their twilight years. However, as members of the Beast Clan and elders of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan, it was unknown how many thousands of years they had lived. The auras of the 3 old men made Du Xiaofu narrow his eyes. Compared to the auras of the 4th Elder Jialo Yi and the 5th Elder Jialo Yuan-Tu, they were even more unfathomable. The first old man in the middle was quite tall. His hair was light gold, and he wore a silver gold robe. His aura was calm. However, with his extraordinary senses, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that the old man had a domineering aura emanating from his body. There was a sense of danger that was above everyone else. Even the 4th Elder Jialo Yi could not compare to this sense of danger. The second old man appeared to be a little old. However, when he stood beside the first old man, the invisible aura around him did not seem to be affected much. Without a doubt, he was a terrifying existence on the same level as the first old man in the silver gold robe. The third old man wore a scholarly robe and looked the youngest. His eyes were golden, and his gaze swept across the square with interest. While Du Xiaofu was sizing them up, Thunderous noises resounded from the surrounding square in an instant. "Greetings, elders." As the voices echoed in the square, Jalo Jueyu, Jalo Juekong, Jalo Kaling, and the others bowed respectfully. "You may all rise." The old man in the silver-gold robe waved his sleeve, indicating for everyone to rise. His voice was not loud, but it resounded in the sky and landed clearly in everyone's ears. "I didn't expect that the first elder, second elder, third elder, fourth elder, fifth elder, head protector, and the others would all come this time. The first elder, second elder, and third elder have been in seclusion all year round. This shows how much importance the clan attaches to this competition. Great elder, second elder, and third elder are here as well. This time, I must perform well. If I can make the great elder, second elder, and third elder remember me and get some pointers, I will benefit greatly in the future." Everyone stood up, and whispers resounded throughout the area. The appearance of the first elder, second elder, third elder, fourth elder, fifth elder, and the head protector caused the atmosphere in the lively square to become even more fiery. At this moment, the young men and women who were participating in the competition were extremely excited and eager to give it a try. Chapter 1329. The elders did not pay any attention to the commotion in the square. They all looked towards the sky, as if waiting for something. Could it be that someone else is coming? Seeing that the elders were all waiting, the surrounding golden-winged Great Pung clan disciples were puzzled. "So it's the great elder, second elder, and third elder of the golden-winged Great Pung clan." Hearing the discussion of the surrounding golden-winged Great Pung clan disciples, Du Xiaofu knew that they were the great elder, second elder, and third elder of the golden-winged Great Pung clan. No wonder their auras were so terrifying and unfathomable. Zixian looked at the great elder and the others in the square, and a purple glow appeared in her eyes. "Welcome, clan leader." Suddenly, the silver-yellow-robed elder spoke. His voice reverberated in everyone's ears, shaking their yuan spirits. At this moment, the gazes of all the golden-winged Great Pung clan disciples trembled fiercely. The figures immediately knelt on one knee respectfully. Jalo Jueyu, Jalo Juekong, and Jalo Kaling were no exception. In the distance, the young golden-winged Great Pung clan disciples on the towering trees also spread their wings and prostrated themselves on the ground. "Welcome, clan leader." The sound waves gathered and reverberated in the sky, causing the space to tremble. Just as the sound waves soared into the sky and resounded through the clouds, there was a faint ripple of golden light in the sky. Boom! Then, a golden light descended from the 9 heavens like a bolt of lightning, and a tall and majestic golden figure descended in front of the elders. The golden lightning turned into golden runes and dissipated. A long-haired elder in his 60s walked out. His golden robes were embroidered with the image of a golden-winged Great Pung. It was like a living creature, releasing its might. Although the elder no longer looked young, the outline of his face was enough to show that he had looked like a human when he was young. He must have been extraordinarily handsome. The aura on his body was faintly discernible and ethereal, but it was unreasonably domineering. With the arrival of the golden-robed elder, Du Xiaofu could feel the blood in his body boiling. The bone in his chest was boiling, and the primordial spirit in his mind's Niwen palace trembled for no reason. If it weren't for the fact that Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit had 2 types of spiritual thunder soul seeds fused with his spiritual root, he would probably be trembling right now. Is he the clan leader of the golden-winged Great Rocks? Du Xiaofu sized up the golden-robed elder, and his eyes trembled. The clan leader of the golden-winged Great Rocks, the supreme beast clan leader of the world. If someone like Sima Taxing, the master of the ancient heaven sect, were to stomp his foot, the entire central continent would tremble. If this golden-robed old man were to stomp his foot, the entire world would tremble. At this moment, the spiritual illusion Tiger King, Gue Che, Raging Bear King, and even the zither devil Shangwan Qi Xian were intimidated and bowed respectfully. This was the clan leader of the golden-winged Great Rocks, and they couldn't resist his invisible pressure. Only Du Xiaofu and Zixian stood quietly. Even Zixian lowered her head slightly and didn't look directly at the old man. At the front of the square, The old man in the brocade robe swept his gaze across the square. His gaze quickly paused on Zixian and Du Xiaofu. However, deep within his golden eyes, he merely glanced at them before shifting his gaze away. It was as though he did not see them, and his expression did not change. "You may all rise." The clan leader of the golden-winged great rocks waved his hand and shook his sleeves. He nodded at the first elder, second elder, and the others before sitting down on a simple chair behind him. The old man sat there with a domineering aura. Every move he made was enough to look down on the world. At this moment, all the disciples of the golden-winged great rocks slowly stood up, no matter if they were young or old. Everyone was excited. No one had expected that not only the first elder and the others would come, but even the clan leader would come. "Stay here and don't cause any trouble," Jialo Kailing, who was beside Du Xiaofu, said. Her tall figure flew to the square and stood quietly behind the clan leader. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and looked at Jialo Kailing. He secretly frowned and smiled bitterly. He didn't want to cause trouble. It was fine as long as trouble didn't come to him. The first commander is the daughter of the clan leader, Jialo Changtian. Rumor has it that his cultivation is rare in this world. Jialo Yueying's words were whispered into Du Xiaofu's ears. Jialo Kailing is the eldest daughter of the golden-winged great rocks. Du Xiaofu's eyes were wide open. He knew that Jialo Kailing had a high status in the clan, but he didn't expect that the hot-tempered woman was not only the first commander, but also the daughter of the clan leader. The daughter of the golden-winged great rocks, the eldest daughter of the golden-winged great rocks, her status was not simple. "Great Guardian, why don't you preside over the competition?" The clan leader, Jialo Changtian, asked the Great Guardian, Jialo Huanyu, who was sitting on a quaint chair. Jialo Huanyu stood up and nodded his head. He then walked out slowly. The square fell into silence as the Great Guardian Jialo Huanyu walked out. All the younger generation's eyes trembled and golden light surged in their eyes. The competition is held once every 300 years. I'm sure everyone knows the rules. You can do your best, but you can't kill. Otherwise, the clan will not let you off easily. The Great Guardian's voice was soft, but it was more domineering than the cry of the phoenix. It resounded throughout the square. The voice contained a faint, majestic aura of the golden-winged great rocks. Guqin Demon, Gue Che, Spiritual Tiger King, and the rest could feel their bodies trembling slightly. The square fell into silence as all the younger generation waited patiently. They already knew the rules. Seeing that there were no objections from the square, the Great Guardian Jialo Huanyu waved his hand and said, "Now, all the younger generation who are participating in the competition, please enter the arena." Boom. Swoosh, swoosh. As the Great Guardian Jialo Huanyu waved his hand, the moment he finished his words, surges of aura surged in the square, and figures flew out one after another. There were 200 to 300 figures in the square, and they flew to the center of the square. The figures stood in the square, and it wasn't a spectacular sight to see 200 to 300 people in the square. However, the aura that seeped out from their bodies caused their many human figures to appear extremely imposing. As the figures rushed onto the square, the surrounding atmosphere immediately became fiery hot. Deafening noises erupted at this moment, and the wind and clouds in the sky surged. Jialo Juekong and Jialo Jueyu glanced at Du Xiaofu. Golden light surged under their feet as they flew out and landed in the center of the square. Second Commander, Third Commander, Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Juekong, who were the most influential among the younger generation of the Great Rocks, entered the square, and the atmosphere was pushed to a climax. The domineering aura in the square soared into the clouds, and the clouds surged in the sky. This was the grand event of the golden-winged great rocks that occurred once every 300 years. Du Xiaofu's blood boiled, and his eyes glowed with a golden light. He was affected by the atmosphere. "What's going on?" Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's gaze that was looking at the plaza suddenly raised, and his expression changed in surprise. At this moment, in Du Xiaofu's eyes, a small girl appeared in the corner of the square. The girl looked to be around 5 or 6 years old, and she stood in the square with a serious expression. Who else could it be other than little Xingxing? Did that little girl appear? It's her. It's this little girl. She destroyed the herb field and dug up a lot of heavenly treasures. Almost at the same time, little Xingxing's appearance caused a commotion among the younger generation in the square. The elders in the square also received the attention of the commotion. Purple Dragon Emperor. What is she trying to do? The Divine Ape King, Fire Dragon King, Silver Blood Leopard King, and the others were shocked. Right now, the golden-winged great rocks were looking for the Purple Dragon Emperor everywhere. However, she still appeared so openly. Wasn't she deliberately causing trouble? At this moment, Zixin's purple eyes were looking at the square, and then they fell on Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu looked at each other and smiled helplessly. He didn't know what had happened, and he didn't know what the little girl was trying to do. Little girl, you still dare to appear today. How dare you? Some of the young men and women saw little Xingxing, and there was an uproar. However, the strange thing was that no one took action immediately. Judging from the expressions on their faces, they seemed to be afraid of little Xingxing. Great-grandmother asked me to participate in the grand competition. Do you dare to take action against me? Be careful or I won't go easy on you. Little Xingxing's bewitching eyes looked at the young men and women around her, and she waved her little fist. She didn't care at all, and she acted like an old man without any worry. Jialo Kailing, who was sitting on a simple and unadorned chair, whispered something into Jialo Changtian's ear, causing Jialo Changtian's eyes to move slightly without leaving a trace. After which, he swept his gaze across Du Xiaofu, who was at the edge of the square, and finally landed on little Xingxing, who was acting like an old man. That little girl is related to our tribe. Let's participate in the grand competition together. The clan leader, Jialo Changtian, said in a dignified voice. When the younger generation in the square heard the clan leader's words, they were stunned. Then, they stood respectfully with their hands by their sides. When the surrounding elders heard the clan leader's words, some of them were puzzled, but they didn't say anything. They just sat there calmly. All right, let's begin the trial. Great Guardian Jialo Huanyu's faint and dignified voice resounded in the hall when he heard the clan leader's words. Chapter 1330. Wang. The sound of wind and thunder resounded through the clouds. As the great guardian Jialo Huanyu finished speaking, a golden light shot up from the square and covered half of the sky. Boom! The golden light covered the square, and an overwhelming pressure caused the ground to tremble. Suddenly, 10 golden clouds appeared in the sky, emitting an overbearing pressure and dazzling runes. 10 battle clouds? Du Xiaofu raised his head. The 10 golden clouds were not big, but they emitted a terrifying pressure. He had heard from Jialo Yueying that in the first round of the outer sect competition, the last 10 people to remain on the battle clouds would be the final winners. After that, in the battle for the top 10 rankings, the 10 people would attack each other. The first one to land on the square would be ranked lower. The 10 golden battle clouds hovered in the sky, and only the top 10 people could step on them to become the final winners. Boom! In an instant, streaks of golden light gushed out from their bodies above the square. Figures rushed to the sky one after another. Immediately, they soared high into the sky. Whoosh! Everyone was fighting for the 10 battle clouds, and it was bound to be a fierce battle. As soon as someone flew up, someone behind him could not help but attack. He wanted to stop the person and use him as a stepping stone. When the person who was attacked realized what was happening, he turned around and was furious. The metal in his body surged, and he waved his hand, causing golden light to sweep out. As someone made a move, the atmosphere in the square instantly surged. Some of the more powerful people were also affected and attacked. Wave after wave of powerful and overbearing energy swept across the square, causing the square to instantly descend into chaos. Hundreds of young golden rocks attacked, and nearly 100 of them were in the sovereign realm. The overbearing aura and the sovereign beast clan's overbearing aura filled every corner of the square. It's too scary. Under the overbearing aura, Spiritual Tiger King, Gue Che, Furious Bear King, Guqin Demon, and the others felt suffocated and depressed. In an instant, overbearing energy overflowed, and chaos broke out. A chaotic battle was on the verge of breaking out. However, there were still a few people in the square who did not move. They were Jialo Jueyu, Jialo Juekong, and a few other extraordinary young men and women. They were still standing there quietly. They didn't care about the chaotic fight, and no one dared to attack them. Little Xingxing also didn't make a move. His small body stood in the square as he raised his head to look at the battle in the sky. His gaze then landed on Jialo Juekong, Jialo Jueyu, and the others. Finally, a golden-winged peng bird revealed its true form. It spread its wings and soared into the clouds. Golden light erupted, and its cry pierced through the clouds and cracked stone. It spread its wings and circled high up in the sky, looking down with its golden eyes. Then, quite a few great golden-winged pengs appeared in the sky, golden light flickering, releasing endless radiance. Their auras were terrifying, clashing together, all types of supreme might being released. Bang bang! The fierce battle high up in the sky stirred up a monstrous commotion and deafened the ears. There were also golden-winged rocks that were not strong enough to fall into the square. Some left in disappointment, while others gritted their teeth and continued to charge into the sky, wanting to continue fighting. Du Xiaofu observed carefully. What the golden-winged peng birds cultivated wasn't just the supreme beast energy of a clan. These golden-winged peng birds had also cultivated quite a few profound mysteries. Some peng birds could use fire spells, some peng birds could use ice spells, and some peng birds could use other beast energy secret techniques. They kept clashing in the rumbling and trembling space. There were even quite a few golden-winged peng birds who used their Dao artifacts and magical weapons to fight. The Dao artifacts and magical weapons were definitely extraordinary. They were all precious treasures in the outside world. Many golden-winged peng birds directly clashed with each other. Their powerful physical bodies were their most powerful attacks. What a strong physical body! Although he was confident in his own physical body, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but be shocked when he saw the physical body of the golden-winged peng bird. Back when he fought with Jialo Jueyo, Du Xiaofu felt the true terror of the golden-winged peng bird's physical body. This also made Du Xiaofu realize that he had gained a lot of advantages by being able to step into the realm of refining the divine body through the body refinement method. Think about it. The golden-winged peng bird's physical body was so huge. How much energy was needed to refine the divine feathers and cleanse the marrow? How much smaller was the human body in comparison? Such a comparison made Du Xiaofu sigh in his heart. Just how difficult was the body training method of the golden-winged great peng bird clan? The advantage that he had gained from being able to step into the level of refining his divine body was not small. Too strong. There were already quite a few powerful rocks fighting over the treasures. The spiritual Tiger King, Violent Bear King, and the others cried out in shock. They watched carefully. For them, if they could gain some enlightenment, it would be a great opportunity. This battle cloud is mine. A transcendent beast sovereign golden-winged peng bird shouted. Golden light surged from its body like a tide, destroying the void. You're not enough. Another golden-winged peng bird shouted. Its body shone with golden light. It flapped its wings and flew thousands of feet into the sky. With an unparalleled momentum, the golden light suppressed the golden-winged peng bird like lightning. Bang, bang, bang. Continuous sonic booms exploded in all directions, and monstrous energy collapsed. Powerful talisman arrays were activated, and seals were solidified. Otherwise, in such an intense battle at this moment, the square would have long been flattened to the ground, with the mountains collapsing and the earth cracking. Boom! Suddenly, a faint smile appeared on little Xingxing's young face. It stomped its feet on the ground and rushed into the sky. Its goal was to fight for the battle cloud. The many golden-winged peng birds who were fighting fiercely looked down at little Xingxing with their huge golden eyes, but none of them dared to stop it. Finally, a huge golden-winged peng bird surged with transcendent energy. It activated Peng Descends to the 9 heavens, flapping its wings and bursting with golden light. It suppressed little Xingxing. Get down! Golden flames flashed in little Xingxing's eyes. Its tiny body pierced through space like lightning. It appeared on the back of the transcendent beast sovereign golden-winged peng bird like a ghost. Its tiny fist was wrapped in golden flames, and it punched down. With just one punch, the transcendent golden-winged peng bird screeched and spat out golden blood. Its huge body fell down like a bird with broken wings, causing the square to tremble. At the head of the square, the gazes of the elders and protectors began to change. Whoosh! On the square, Jalo Jueyu, Jalo Juekong, and several other extraordinary young men and women were standing quietly. They looked at the golden-winged pung bird that had been punched down. Their calm expressions began to fluctuate violently. Chi! A golden figure rushed out of the square. A terrifying aura of a peak venerable origin beast swept out. It rose from the ground like a tornado and rushed toward little Xingxing. "Little girl, get down!" It was a young man in golden armor. He shouted like thunder and punched out furiously. His fist was wrapped in golden talisman patterns and distorted space. "Venerable origin beast, you're not enough." Little Xingxing's demonic eyes revealed a faint smile. Her small body had a domineering aura. She did not retreat or give way. Her small fist was suddenly covered in purple flames. The purple flames in the surroundings suddenly burst out and collided directly with the armored young man's fist. The two fists collided, causing runes to splatter everywhere. Energy radiance surged and spread. Thud! Thud! The armored young man's body was blasted back. He groaned and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Little Xingxing's small body only swayed slightly. Being injured in one move, the young man in green armor was shocked. At the head of the square below, the elders and guardians of the golden-winged Pong Bird clan were shocked. Screech! As the young man in golden armor was shocked, he immediately activated his main body. Walala, spreading its wings high in the sky, the armored young man's huge golden-winged Pong Bird was thousands of feet tall. His entire body was dazzling with golden light. When he spread his wings, it shattered the void. He was incomparably domineering as he swept his golden wings toward little Xingxing. At this moment, facing the huge body of the golden-winged Pong Bird, little Xingxing's body was like an ant facing an elephant. "Do you think I'm easy to bully?" "Humph." Little Xingxing let out a deep snort. From his small body, the aura of a peak primordial chaos sovereign surged out. He did not dodge the huge body of the former at all. Come! Just as the golden wings swept over, little Xingxing's small body did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. There seemed to be starlight flowing on his small hand. He directly punched the huge golden wings. Such a collision caused a dazzling light to erupt. There was a rumbling sound in the sky. An energy storm swept out like a tornado. The golden-winged Pong Bird clan's main body was extremely domineering. However, under little Xingxing's punch, the feathers on the golden wings fluttered. Blood dripped. The huge body was almost overturned. Chi! Little Xingxing's tiny body suddenly appeared on the huge golden-winged Pong Bird's golden wings. He was as fast as lightning. His small fists rained down like a storm. Bang! 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 A series of punches were thrown from little Xingxing's hand in a flash. The muffled sound was like thunder. Screech! Golden feathers fluttered. Golden Pong blood spurted. The right wing of the golden-winged Pong Bird was dripping with pale golden blood, revealing eerie white bones. It screamed in pain. "Get down!" Little Xingxing stomped his foot. Under his small feet, a golden flame surged out like a tide and poured into his body. Accumulate! The golden-winged Pong Bird clan's huge body directly fell. In the end, it landed heavily on the square. At this moment, everyone could not help but look at the small figure in the sky. Although the figure was small, it had the aura of a supreme being at this moment. That kind of pressure caused even the beast souls of the same generation of the golden-winged Pong Bird clan to tremble. Little Xingxing stepped into the void. His eyes were demonic. He was extremely domineering and shocked all the golden-winged Pong Birds present. "Who dares to stop me?" Taking a step forward, little Xingxing stepped on the void and landed on a golden battle cloud. No one dared to stop him. Little Xingxing became the first person to step onto the golden battle cloud. He shocked all the golden-winged Pong Birds. So powerful. At the edge of the square, the illusion Tiger King's eyes trembled. He gasped. The Purple Dragon Emperor is mighty. The Divine Ape King, Fire Wyrm King, Silver Blood Leopard King, and the others trembled with excitement. Chapter 1331. As little Xingxing stepped onto the golden battle cloud, Jialo Jueyu, Jialo Juekong, and the others' expressions finally changed. Golden light surged under their feet as they flew out one by one. Their aura spread, shaking everything in their path. Whoosh whoosh, a total of 6 figures stepped onto 6 golden battle clouds. The surrounding golden-winged rocks all retreated, not daring to block their path. Jialo Jueyu, Jialo Juekong, and the others' gazes fell on little Xingxing. Fighting spirits surged in their eyes, golden light surging. Do you want to fight? I'll keep you company. Little Xingxing looked straight at them. He called himself an emperor and did not back down. The demonic supreme aura on his body was on par with Jialo Jueyu and the others. Where did that little girl come from? The fourth elder, Jialo Yi, softly said from the elders' seats. The little girl was young, but her sovereign aura and aura were already extremely powerful. Jialo Jueyu and the other elders had cultivated for hundreds of years. Compared to them, the little girl was astonishing. On the golden battle cloud, everyone looked at each other. Jialo Jueyu stood there elegantly, his eyes rippling with golden light, but he did not immediately attack. There was still one last golden battle cloud left. The younger generation of the golden-winged rocks were still fighting over it. Bang, bang, bang. Sonic booms shook people's souls. Golden light shot out in all directions. Many golden-winged rocks flew across the sky, shaking the space. Although this kind of fierce competition was extremely fierce, it was not very attractive to Du Xiaofu at the moment. The fierce battle finally ended when 3 golden-winged rocks with cultivation around the peak of the transcendent beast venerable level stepped onto the golden battle cloud. 10 figures stepped onto the battle cloud. Little Xingxing was the most eye-catching. The defeated young men and women withdrew their true forms and retreated from the square. They were all seriously injured, and most of them were pale. Some were unwilling, some sighed, looking at the 10 people on the golden battle cloud with envy. That little girl actually took up one of the spots. Seeing little Star set foot on the battle cloud, some of the golden-winged rocks were rather displeased. In particular, the few youths who had missed the final step felt even more indignant. The 10 of you can continue to compete for the rankings. You should know what it means to be ranked higher. Now, let's continue. The great guardian, Jialo Huanyu, stood up and said again. He looked at the 10 figures in the sky and did not look surprised. Everything seemed to be within his expectations. The only one who was surprised was the small figure in the sky. As the great guardian Jialo Huanyu spoke, golden light surged on the battle cloud. Everyone's eyes were filled with golden light. There were also many pairs of eyes that were staring at little Xingxing. What? You want to gang up on me? I'm not afraid. Let's go. Little Star acted like an old man. He clenched his fists and waved them around. His demonic eyes were filled with golden flames. Starlight flowed around him as he stared at the young experts of the golden-winged rocks. Do you need us to gang up on a little girl like you? The golden-winged rocks will never do such a shameful thing. A figure stepped out from the battle cloud. It was a leisurely young man. He was the 3rd commander, Jialo Juekong. Looking at little Star, Jialo Juekong's golden eyes started to disperse and emit golden light. He said, Go down yourself. I don't want to fight a little girl. It's unfair. You're really conceited. Little Star stared at Jialo Juekong. There was no harmless smile on his chubby face. He looked serious and exuded a supreme aura. He smiled faintly and said, I know who you are. You're the 3rd commander of the golden-winged rocks, Jialo Juekong. It's a pity that I don't put you in my eyes. Little girl, I didn't want to fight you. Since you're so stubborn, you'll have to suffer a little. Jialo Juekong was slightly angered. Golden light gushed out and enveloped his body. There seemed to be a faint image of a golden-winged rocks enveloping him. It was like a miracle. His aura was terrifying. That guy is definitely very strong. Violet Dragon Emperor. Be careful. The Divine Ape King, Spiritual Tiger King, Fire Dragon King, Silver Blood Leopard King, and the others looked at Jialo Juekong. They all knew that Jialo Juekong was very strong and extraordinary. Du Xiaofu frowned slightly. He also knew that Jialo Juekong was definitely a dangerous existence. His aura was unfathomable. Jialo Juekong was also a martial fanatic of the golden-winged rocks. He was probably not much weaker than Jialo Jueyu. However, Du Xiaofu wasn't too worried about Little Star. With Little Star's defensive means, she wouldn't suffer a great loss. I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Do you really think you're very powerful? Little Star snorted coldly. As her voice faded, her small body turned into a streak of starlight and pounced towards Jialo Juekong. That little girl is too arrogant and domineering. The golden-winged rocks around the square were secretly discussing. That little girl actually took the initiative to attack Jialo Juekong. She actually didn't put one of the strongest young experts of the golden-winged rocks in her eyes. How domineering and arrogant was that? You're asking for trouble. Jialo Juekong's golden eyes were suffused with a golden vortex of light. It was like a golden black hole that could frighten the Yuan spirit of others. With a wave of his hand, golden light burst out like a surging tide, blocking Little Star. Break! Little Star shouted. She shattered the golden light with a punch. Her momentum was unstoppable. After personally exchanging blows, Jialo Juekong's expression truly changed. He immediately attacked again, instantly exchanging blows with Little Star. As Little Star and Jialo Juekong made their moves, the remaining people on the battle cloud looked at each other. Little Star already had Jialo Juekong's help, so they didn't need to work together. Fight! In just a short moment, the remaining few experts of the younger generation, who were from the Sovereign Beast clan, pounced forward in unison. They continued to engage in a chaotic battle for the sake of obtaining a ranking. At this moment, as long as they defeated one person, they would be able to rank one higher. Therefore, this might be a chaotic battle, so they didn't hold back and gave it their all. Someone immediately urged the golden-winged rocks to rush forward. They flapped their wings and soared into the sky. Their screeches pierced through the clouds and cracked rocks. Rumble. Although there were only a few golden-winged rocks fighting at this moment, the level of strength was much stronger than the previous chaotic battle. The fierce battle caused the beast energy to erupt, causing lightning to flash and thunder to rumble in the sky. Strong winds blew, and golden light intertwined and surged. All kinds of supreme beast energy of the golden-winged rocks surged out, causing the Phantom Tiger King, Ghost Chariot, and the others to tremble in fear. Bang, bang, bang. Not long after the chaotic battle, 3 golden-winged rocks fell. They were the 3 transcendent beast venerable golden-winged rocks that had fought for the top 10 spots. At this moment, the remaining battles were even more intense. The battle between the 4 golden-winged rocks at the level of primordial beast venerable attracted Du Xiaofu's attention. At this moment, if it weren't for the talisman arrays and seals around the square, the surroundings would have long been destroyed into ruins. Jialo Jueyu stepped onto the battle cloud, but he didn't make a move. No golden-winged rocks dared to attack him. Jialo Jueyu appeared to be extremely relaxed, but his gaze wasn't calm at this moment. He had been staring intently at the battle between Little Xingxing and Jialo Juekong. At this moment, the most eye-catching battle in the field wasn't the 4 huge golden-winged rocks, but the 2 figures of Little Xingxing and Jialo Juekong. Neither of them had activated their true bodies, but the aura and pressure of their battle was enough for the surrounding disciples and experts of the golden-winged great rocks to feel that they were many times stronger than the 4 golden-winged great rocks at the Hunyuan beast venerable level. In the sky, Little Xingxing wasn't afraid in the face of Jialo Juekong. He was wild and domineering as his small fist blasted out, sweeping in all directions. Starlight overflowed from Little Xingxing's body. Purple flames surged, and golden flames filled the sky. The fierce attack also carried an attack that affected the soul. The attack and monstrous energy swept out like a wave, attacking Jialo Juekong. At this moment, Jialo Juekong had actually activated all the aura of a Nirvana beast venerable. Golden light erupted, and the various magical powers of the golden-winged rocks were displayed. However, they could only barely resist Little Xingxing's attack. In this big and small battle, energy runes formed a waterfall, surging and pouring down, drowning the sky. The pressure was frightening. The 2 of them didn't have time to directly clash with their physical bodies. The physical bodies of the golden-winged rocks went without saying. They were extremely domineering and fierce, not to mention a cultivation maniac like Jialo Juekong. And little Xingxing, with his peak primordial beast venerable cultivation, was completely fearless against Jialo Juekong's nirvana beast venerable. Especially in the face of Jialo Juekong's terrifying attack, little Xingxing seemed to be immune to that energy. His small body swept in all directions, wild and domineering. As time passed, the eyes of all the golden-winged rocks were completely shocked. That little girl was too strong. She wasn't any weaker than Jialo Juekong. It was unbelievable. Chapter 1332. Although this little girl is playful, she hasn't fallen behind in her cultivation. Du Xiaofu also sighed, and at the same time, he was envious. Du Xiaofu knew best how long little Xingxing had been cultivating. She was extraordinarily talented from birth, and after cultivating for a short time, she had already reached the peak of venerable chaos. Others were simply too ashamed to show their faces. Du Xiaofu still remembered that little Xingxing had only reached the level of venerable chaos not long ago when she fought with Dragon 8, Dragon 7, and the others. And now, little Xingxing was already at the peak of venerable chaos. She must have eaten a lot of treasures and spirit herbs in the golden-winged Great Rock clan these days. Otherwise, she would not have been hunted down by the entire golden-winged Great Rock clan. High up in the sky, 2 of the 4 golden-winged Great Rock clashing with venerable chaos were defeated again. The fall of the 2 huge golden-winged Great Rocks was also extremely frightening. It was as if millions of mountains were pressing down, causing the square to rumble and tremble endlessly. Even with the seal of the talisman array, cracks almost appeared. The remaining 2 golden-winged Great Rocks continued to fight. Every time they advanced a level, the benefits they would obtain would be greater. Naturally, they would not give in to the other party. Bang! The sky rumbled as little Xingxing clashed with Jialo Juekong again. A vast mist erupted in the space, and the surrounding space rippled. Golden light and golden flames erupted everywhere. Activate your main body and use your strongest strength. I'm not easy to deal with. Little Xingxing retreated a few steps and stabilized her body. She looked at Jialo Juekong, who had retreated more than a dozen steps. Heavens, Jialo Juekong is actually at a disadvantage. The 3rd commander doesn't seem to have the upper hand. Some of the golden-winged Great Rocks exclaimed. Their eyes were filled with disbelief, not daring to accept what they had just seen. Jialo Juekong looked at little Xingxing, his expression unprecedentedly serious. However, his temperament did not change. He then said slowly, "I've indeed underestimated you, little girl. But from now on, I won't hold back." Gee! As Jialo Juekong's voice fell, a shriek resounded through the sky. Golden light expanded from his body, and a huge golden-winged rock appeared in the sky. Its entire body was shrouded in golden light, and it was incomparably terrifying. It looked disdainfully in all directions, and a terrible might descended. Too strong. At this moment, the aura emanating from Jialo Juekong's enormous body caused Gue Che, the divine ape king, and the others to tremble. That was the supreme aura of the golden-winged Great Rocks, causing the hearts and souls of all the beasts to palpitate. Late-stage Nirvana Beast Venerable. Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly and looked at the huge golden-winged rock. Jialo Juekong's true strength was at the late Nirvana Beast Sovereign level. As a pure-blooded descendant of the golden-winged Great Pong Bird, a late-stage Nirvana Beast Venerable, his strength was extremely terrifying. It was not difficult for Du Xiaofu to know that Jialo Juekong's cultivation level was probably enough to directly confront his 7th martial uncle, Venerable Qian Xing, and his eldest martial uncle, Venerable Kuang. It was not certain who would win in the end. Jialo Juekong would most likely have the upper hand. True body? I have one too. Little Xingxing raised his eyebrows and golden flames rose from his bewitching eyes. Ayo! In the next moment, a dragon's roar resounded in this space. Little Xingxing's body, which was hundreds of feet long, was hovering high in the sky. His wings, which were hundreds of feet long, were like phoenix feathers, spreading blazing red and purple flames. Starlight flowed on the surface of his body. He also had the aura of the golden-winged Great Pong, but more of a terrifying supreme aura. All the golden-winged great pung birds raised their heads. Under that terrifying pressure, they all felt their beast souls tremble. There seems to be the aura of the Phoenix clan, but there also seems to be the aura of our golden-winged great pung bird clan. The other auras are not inferior to our clan's aura. What kind of dragon is that? Looking at little Xingxing's body, the first elder, second elder, third elder, and the rest of the golden-winged great rock clan's old faces revealed a strange expression as intense ripples appeared in their eyes. They clearly felt the aura of the golden-winged great pung bird clan on little Xingxing's body. No wonder the patriarch said that the little girl was also related to the golden-winged great pung bird clan. This kind of pressure, why is it so strong? Jialo Changtian looked at little Xingxing's body and was also surprised. A golden light flashed across the depths of his eyes. The pressure that spread out from little Xingxing's body was definitely not ordinary. It seemed to be even stronger than the golden-winged great pung bird clan. Whoosh! Little Xingxing's body hovered high in the sky. Below his abdomen, there were faintly 5 claws rising. Rune clouds surged. His eyes overflowed with golden light as he flapped his wings, forming a blazing flame tornado. A terrifying and strange pressure descended from his body. Jialo Juekong's huge body hovered in the air. At this moment, his golden eyes were like a golden whirlpool that could devour a person's soul. Looking at little Xingxing's body, he also trembled inwardly. Gee! But in just an instant, Jialo Juekong's huge body soared through the sky. Golden light surged out, and his aura was vast and turbulent. He flapped his wings and brought about a huge wave of golden light that swept out like a torrent. It rumbled in the sky and swept towards little Xingxing, crushing everything in its path. Roar! Little Xingxing was not afraid. The complex pressure on his body soared into the sky, and his roar shook the soul. It seemed to be mixed with a strange soul attack. The golden flames around his body seemed to have turned into a sea of fire that burned everything. In the sky, little Xingxing and Jialo Juekong collided once again. Bang, bang, bang. This collision caused the sky to collapse. The golden-winged great pung bird's body was this world's supreme beast clan. It could tear everything apart, sweep through the ages, and suppress all living things. But at this moment, little Xingxing's body was not inferior. Even though his cultivation level was lower, he was still able to contend. If the two of them were at the same cultivation level, the victor and loser would have already been decided. Boom! In the sky, the dragon and pung collided one after another, tearing apart space and crushing the void. The sky trembled endlessly as lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. This kind of confrontation caused many golden-winged great pung bird clan's disciples to feel their hair stand on end. Gray Che, Phantom Tiger King, Little Falcon, and the others were already dumbfounded. That little girl's strength was practically advancing by leaps and bounds. She was becoming more and more tyrannical. Suppress! Jialo Juekong shouted. He had already used his full strength. Golden light blazed, powerful and domineering. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Little Xingxing was not afraid. Golden flames surged, burning everything. She was also not afraid of the attack power. Her attacks were accompanied by an all-pervasive soul attack, causing Jialo Juekong to be greatly affected. Whoosh! Jialo Juekong's huge body became more and more dignified. He swooped down, his golden wings sweeping, erupting with a golden tide. Amidst the boundless golden light, a terrifying and domineering pressure descended, suppressing little Xingxing. Chila! Jialo Juekong's wings were like golden lightning, sweeping towards little Xingxing at the same time. Roar! Little Xingxing's eyes flashed with a hint of a sneer. She raised her head and let out a heaven-shaking dragon roar. Suddenly, ink-black talisman runes burst out from her body, and a tortoise shell-like armor covered the surface of her body. Whoosh! On the ink-black tortoiseshell behind little Xingxing, talisman runes swept through the sky densely. That was the black tortoise divine shell that her father had left for her, a defensive treasure. As little Xingxing's cultivation level increased, the defensive power she activated became more terrifying. Rumble! Little Xingxing used the black tortoise divine shell to block Jialo Juekong's attack. The black tortoise divine shell was indestructible, blocking the golden light outside. It stirred up a golden tide that was like raging waves crashing against the shore. The surrounding heaven and earth trembled as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. At the same time, little Xingxing's huge body stood upright, and an extremely dense pressure spread out. In an instant, the entire sky seemed to tremble at this moment. At this moment, the demonic third eye on little Xingxing's forehead suddenly opened. A blinding beam of light that made one's soul tremble shot into the sky, spreading out in all directions like a curtain of light. Accompanied by a soul might that blotted out the sky, it suddenly spread across the horizon. Roar, 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 roar. Dragon roars rang out one after another. Several azure dragon phantoms were faintly discernible from little Xingxing's third eye, descending with a strange soul might. This is a beast soul attack. How can it be so powerful? At this moment, the fifth elder, Jialo Yuan-tu, exclaimed from the elders' seats. That dragon's roar was simply too eerie. It was likely that not many below the beast domain realm could withstand it. The dragon roar resounded in all directions. The blood of the golden-winged Great Peng, Little Falcon, Little Ying, Gue Che, and the others in the square boiled as their beast souls throbbed. Under little Xingxing's attack, Jialo Juekong was also directly affected. His terrifying golden vortex-like eyes turned sluggish. Bang! The huge tail swept out, followed by a lingering golden flame. In an instant, it swept fiercely onto Jialo Juekong's huge body. There was no turning back. Jialo Juekong's panicked beast soul was affected. His eyes hadn't even recovered from the shock. As little Xingxing's huge tail swept down, he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His huge body was directly knocked back and fell to the ground. Little Xingxing's huge tail attack wasn't just unstoppable. More importantly, the golden flames could incinerate everything. That blazing golden flame was wreaking havoc in Jialo Juekong's body, as if it wanted to incinerate his internal organs. However, Jialo Juekong was still Jialo Juekong. The golden-winged Great Peng, a peak existence among the younger generation of the sovereign beast race, also recovered from the shock in an instant. Whoosh! Jialo Juekong's huge body didn't land on the ground. He flapped his wings and soared into the air, golden light bursting out. Peng descends to the 9 heavens. Jialo Juekong roared. His entire body was glowing with golden light as he urged the Peng descends to the 9 heavens. His domineering will descended, shaking the sky like thunder. The domineering and terrifying aura overflowed. Jialo Juekong urged his sovereign beast energy, flapping his wings and sweeping across the sky. He was the sole ruler, suppressing little Xingxing. Little Xingxing raised his eyes, and his huge body soared into the sky. A dazzling ink-black rune radiance spread out from the black tortoise divine shell on his back. An illusory beast figure suddenly roared like a dragon's roar as it soared into the sky. Chapter 1333. Roar. The illusory beast was black and dazzling. It was thousands of feet large and covered in scales. The tortoise and snake intertwined, as if it was alive. It brought with it a huge pressure, and its aura was like that of a supreme being. However, the black tortoise's huge pressure caused the space to distort. Spatial ripples spread out in all directions, causing the space to tremble. It blocked Jialo Juekong's Peng descends to the 9 heavens. This kind of pressure is not below that of my great golden-winged rock clan. The great golden-winged rock clan experts around the square were stunned. At this moment, the little girl's technique was also not weaker than the great golden-winged rock clan's supreme beast. Peng descends to the 9 heavens. Jialo Changtian's eyes looked at the sky, and a strange light surged out. Multiple types of powerful auras gathered on her body at the same time. She is even more terrifying than the dragons. What is her background? Jialo Changtian murmured, his heart filled with doubt. At this moment, the great golden-winged rock clan elders in the elders' seats were filled with doubt and shock. They were even more shocked than Jialo Changtian. On the battle cloud, Jialo Jueyu's eyes surged with golden light as he watched the battle between Little Star and Jialo Juekong. Rumble. The powerful beasts clashed, and the runes in the sky shone brightly. The sky rumbled endlessly, and energy soared to the sky. The black runes and the golden runes were in a stalemate. It was like the sun and the night were burning. Under the overwhelming pressure, the divine power was unparalleled, surging violently. However, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the great golden-winged rock clan members revealed smiles amidst their shock. The black tortoise that little star had summoned was already dissipating. Although the golden runes on Jialo Juekong's body were also dimming, it still suppressed little star. It looked like little star was about to lose. Not good. The purple dragon emperor is about to lose. If he is at the same cultivation level as Jialo Juekong, he will definitely not lose. The divine ape king's expression was serious. Just a little bit. The difference in cultivation level is too great. Du Xiaofu's brows were also slightly furrowed at this moment. He could feel that little star was no longer able to continue. It wasn't because the power of the black tortoise phantom that little Xingxing used was inferior to the rock descending to the 9 heavens of the golden-winged great rock race. Instead, in terms of cultivation level, little star was a peak origin beast venerable, while Jialo Juekong was a late-stage nirvana beast venerable. At the supremacy level, the difference between a peak primordial origin beast venerable and a late-stage nirvana beast venerable didn't seem too great. However, the difference between the two levels was like the difference between heaven and earth. They were two completely different concepts. In addition, the golden-winged great rocks were the sovereign beasts of this world. As an outstanding pure-blooded descendant of the golden-winged great Peng race like Jialo Juekong, he was a terrifying existence that could surpass levels to contend against and even kill opponents. If it was an ordinary late-stage Nirvana Beast Venerable, it would have been defeated by Little Star. Therefore, Du Xiaofu knew in his heart that it was not that Little Star was not abnormal enough. Instead, Jialo Juekong was also an abnormal and terrifying existence. He was definitely not ordinary. Little Star was already terrifying enough. PFFF, Little Xingxing spat out a mouthful of blood. The black tortoise's image that he had activated was also destroyed in his mouth. His massive body was violently knocked back. "You've lost," Jialo Juekong said. His aura was weak. He had finally won after using his full strength. However, there was no excitement or happiness in Jialo Juekong's heart at this moment. His opponent was a primordial origin beast venerable, and he was almost helpless against him. If they were at the same cultivation level, he would have been defeated long ago. What was there to be happy about? Little Star's massive body soared into the sky. He looked at Jialo Juekong's body, and a sinister smile suddenly appeared on his face. The corners of his mouth rose as he said, "Who says I've lost? The outcome hasn't been decided yet." Boom. As Little Star's voice fell, the surrounding space suddenly trembled strangely. Suddenly, waves of energy descended from the surroundings. Waves of energy began to gather strangely, emitting vigorous fluctuations that caused spatial cracks to ripple in the surrounding space. In the end, it gathered around Little Star. At this moment, all the gazes in the square below all changed in surprise. At this moment, the vigorous energy that had gathered in the sky endlessly surged into Little Star's body, causing Little Star's weak aura to rise. Some of the dragon scales that were riddled with scars began to recover. A primordial origin beast venerable is all-encompassing and all-encompassing. Primordial origin beast venerable is the truth, the Tao, the great Tao of heaven and earth. At this moment, Little Star's mouth seemed to be muttering something. Starlight wrapped around him. Golden flames, purple flames enveloped his body, and a peculiar black and white chi intertwined and circulated. It was very strange, alternating between positive and negative directions. The mysterious black and white chi were like lightning and stars. They seemed to be glowing and flickering like fire. Vaguely, it caused the sky to appear as though it was filled with stars. It was a majestic sight. That little girl is breaking through to the Nirvana realm. Some elders in the elders' seats couldn't help but exclaim. They had seen through the clues. At this moment, Jialo Juekong's massive body was staring at Little Star. His expression also changed. Jialo Juekong had broken through that level, so he naturally knew what the former was doing. But at this moment, Jialo Juekong did not make a move. As a pure-blooded descendant of the golden-winged Great Peng clan, He knew that if he made a move now, he would be able to gain a great advantage. But Jialo Juekong disdained to make a move. The blood of the golden-winged Great Peng clan in his body did not allow him to do anything that would humiliate the golden-winged Great Peng clan. In just a short period of time, Little Star's aura rapidly reached the peak. "Break!" Little Star shouted loudly. On the demonic third eye between his brows, a trace of golden flames jumped, emitting a dazzling light. "Ewo!" The third eye appeared at the same time, and a dragon roar rang out. The sound turned into sound waves that spread out, immediately causing the golden-winged Great Peng clan experts in the square below to feel a huge pressure. The beast souls in their minds trembled, and the blood in their bodies was about to freeze. Rumble. On Little Star's massive body, the strange energy in the surroundings gathered, creating a huge spatial ripple that was like a wave rolling over and over. From Little Star's massive body, an aura broke through the bottleneck and soared into the sky. In that instant, the black tortoise divine shell on Little Star's back and the starlight on the surface of his body, as well as purple flames and other lights gathered. With a heart-palpitating aura, it whistled through the air, bringing with it a terrifying pressure. Rumble. Under the shocked and stunned gazes of the surroundings, the sky suddenly trembled at the same time. The entire space suddenly darkened, and thick, dark clouds suddenly surged over. Wild winds blew, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. Surges of vigorous energy of the world finally surged into Little Star's third eye between his brows. At the same time, the aura on Little Star's body rose to a new level. Rings of extremely special light flickered above his head, like divine flames. Nirvana Divine Flame. Du Xiaofu's eyes widened as he curiously looked at the special light above Little Star's head. That was the Nirvana Divine Flame. Back in the Seven-Star Hall, Du Xiaofu had seen 3 rings of divine flames flickering above Fifth Uncle Ji-Mo's head before he broke through. Nirvana Divine Flame. That girl has just become a Nirvana Beast Sovereign, but she already has the Nirvana Divine Flame. Unbelievable. At the head of the square, many elders in the elders' seats exclaimed at the same time. Only those who were about to break through to the domain realm would have the Nirvana Divine Flame above their heads. But at this moment, that girl's body actually produced the Nirvana Divine Flame just after she broke through. It was too unbelievable. Breaking through to the Nirvana Beast Sovereign, the Purple Dragon Emperor is breaking through to the Nirvana realm. The Purple Dragon Emperor is so powerful. The Divine Ape King, Fire Dragon King, Silver Blood Leopard King, and the others were extremely excited. The Spiritual Fantasy Tiger King, Violent Bear King, and the others were also very excited at this moment. It didn't take long for the energy of heaven and earth that had gathered in the sky to dissipate. But at this moment, the huge, strange dragon that was hovering in midair was overflowing with flowing light. The strange dragon's body seemed to have grown a little bigger, and the supreme aura that emanated from its body was many times stronger than before. How can her aura be so strong when she just broke through to the Nirvana Beast Sovereign? At this moment, the aura on Little Star's body made all the elders in the golden-winged Great Rock Elders' seats tremble. After stepping into the Nirvana realm, the Nirvana Divine Flame above Little Star's head gradually dissipated. He looked at Jialo Juekong's huge body and said, "Compared to those shameless mixed blood dragons, you are much better. You actually didn't take the opportunity to attack me." The golden-winged Great Rock Clan disdains such shamelessness. Jialo Juekong shouted. He flapped his wings and soared into the sky. Golden light erupted as he swooped down like lightning towards Little Star. He said, "Let me see how strong you have become after breaking through to the Nirvana Beast Sovereign level." Little Star didn't say anything. He looked at Jialo Juekong swooping down with a smile. Instead of retreating, he advanced. Light erupted as golden and purple starlight wrapped around him. Like a thunderbolt, he collided with Jialo Juekong's huge body. The two huge bodies collided with a loud bang. All kinds of dazzling light erupted and drowned the sky. A thunderous explosion resounded through the clouds. Boom! A huge tail wrapped in golden flames stretched out from the void. Clouds of flames rose as it pressed down heavily. The pressure was like the end of the world. Screech! The screech of the golden-winged great roc resounded in the chaotic space. The dazzling light made it difficult for people to look at it. Everything happened very quickly. When everything dissipated, everyone in the sky could see clearly that little star's body was hovering high up in the sky. At this moment, the feathers on Jialo Jukong's back were shattered. Blood was dripping from his mouth. Faint golden blood continuously poured into the air. His powerful body had suffered heavy injuries. Chapter 1334. Of the two golden-winged great rocs fighting in the air, one of them had already been defeated. The remaining golden-winged great Pong, who was at the level of a primordial beast venerable, had retracted his true form and transformed into his human form. He was riddled with wounds, and his aura was weak. He did not dare to attack in front of Jialo Jueyu and automatically retreated, placing himself below Jialo Juekong. Looking at the scene in the sky, everyone was dumbfounded. The surrounding sky suddenly began to fall silent. Huff! After a while, the sound of people sucking in cold air and swallowing their saliva could be heard. Jialo Juekong's defeat had shocked everyone. The golden-winged great roc was the supreme beast of the beast race. Even the dragons and phoenixes were not taken seriously by the golden-winged great roc clan. They always felt that the golden-winged great roc clan was above the dragons and phoenixes. However, at this moment, they could only watch as the little girl, a dragon in her true form, defeated Jialo Juekong, one of the best in the younger generation of the golden-winged great roc clan, with the talent and strength of a nirvana beast venerable. At this moment, all the disciples of the golden-winged great roc clan had mixed feelings. They were shocked and in disbelief. That little girl, where did she come from? In the elders' seats, a few elders could not help but stand up. Their eyes were trembling and filled with golden light. Behind Jialo Changtian, the leader of the golden-winged great roc clan, Jialo Kaling's beautiful eyes looked at the sky. Jialo Kaling knew that little Xingxing was very strong, and his true form's aura was also that of a supreme being. However, she definitely did not expect little Xingxing to be able to defeat Jialo Juekong. Purple Dragon Emperor is mighty. The Divine Ape King, Fire Dragon King, Silver Blood Leopard King, Little Ying, Spiritual Tiger King, and the others all looked at the sky. Their excitement was no different from defeating Jialo Juekong. I've won. You're no longer my opponent. Little Xingxing's true form hovered in the sky. His supreme being aura surged from the sky as he looked at Jialo Juekong. Puff! Blood spurted out of Jialo Juekong's mouth again. His golden eyes stared at the huge dragon with disbelief, unwillingness, and confusion. His expression was very complicated. After a while, Jialo Juekong's huge body shone with golden light and turned into human form. His leisurely temperament had an additional trace of wretchedness and misery. His unordinary temperament was also shrouded in a dispirited aura. With traces of blood at the corner of his mouth, Jialo Juekong looked at Little Star and said, "That's right, I lost. No matter what, I cannot do anything to you. You're already very strong. If I hadn't just broken through, I wouldn't have been able to defeat you. If you had attacked me while I was breaking through, I would have been in a lot of trouble. I'm afraid that I would have been greatly affected." Little Xingxing also withdrew his true form. His tender voice and childish face made him look harmless, completely different from the terrifying existence from before. At this moment, Little Xingxing still had a smile on his face, as if he was praising Jialo Juekong for not sneak attacking him just now. This little girl is really infuriating. However, Little Xingxing's words made the disciples of the golden-winged great Pong clan gloomy. How was this praising? It was clearly a blow to Jialo Juekong. Even if Jialo Juekong won today, there would be nothing to be happy about. Firstly, the little girl was clearly not very old. Secondly, even if the little girl had broken through to the level of Nirvana Beast Venerable, she had only just broken through. Jialo Juekong, as a late Nirvana Beast Venerable and in his true form as a golden-winged great Pong, defeating the little girl was definitely not something to be proud of. That was because the little girl's strength had already shocked everyone present. At this moment, the little girl's words were clearly referring to her. Even if Jialo Juekong had wanted to sneak attack her while she was breaking through, it would only bring her some trouble and would not cause much of an impact. This was the most infuriating thing. However, at this moment, the disciples of the golden-winged Great Peng clan did not know that little Xingxing's praises were absolutely sincere. Compared to dragons, little Xingxing truly felt that the golden-winged Great Peng clan was much stronger than those mixed-blood dragons. Even if she had destroyed the golden-winged Great Peng clan's medicinal fields and stolen many of their heavenly treasures and eaten them like candy, the golden-winged Great Peng clan had only sent their younger generation to capture her. Those beast domain experts all maintained their status and did not do anything to her. If it had been those mixed blood dragons, little Xingxing felt that those mixed blood dragons would definitely have chased after her together. Hearing little Xingxing's words, Jialo Juekong looked at little Xingxing. His pale, blood-stained face twitched a couple of times, and he decided not to reply. Afterwards, he looked at Jialo Jueyu on the battle cloud and said, "You have to pay attention to this little girl. Her defense is too strong, and her soul will be affected if she attacks. Go down and treat your injuries. You didn't lose disgracefully. This little girl's bloodline is extraordinary. She even has the aura of our golden-winged Great Peng clan's bloodline." Jialo Jueyu nodded at Jialo Juekong and stepped onto the golden battle cloud. His robes fluttered slightly in the wind. He was still as beautiful as ever. The shock in his eyes was restrained, and he looked calm. Jialo Juekong did not say anything else. He descended from the sky. Although he had been defeated, his bearing was still the same. He would not allow anyone to look down on him. Nirvana Sovereign. At this moment, Du Xiaofu looked at little Xingxing in the sky. However, he was not thinking about how strong little Xingxing was. Du Xiaofu already knew about little Xingxing's transformation. He was not willing to think too much about it, in case he was looking for trouble, but now, he could only watch as little Xingxing broke through to become a Nirvana Sovereign. Moreover, as his father, he was still a Origin Sovereign. Furthermore, he had only reached this level after undergoing all sorts of tempering recently. However, little Xingxing had broken through just like that when facing a Nirvana Sovereign. At this moment, no one would understand Du Xiaofu's complicated feelings. "Little bastard, you should save some face for your father," Du Xiaofu grumbled. However, he was still happy to see little Xingxing break through to become a Nirvana Sovereign. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu felt a faint helplessness in his heart that concealed his happiness. "It's your turn." In the sky, little Xingxing looked at Jialo Jueyu. Although he felt that the golden-winged great rocks were much stronger than the mixed blood dragons, little Xingxing had always been dissatisfied because his godfather had been at a disadvantage against the golden-winged great rocks. Now, there was only one left. Little Xingxing naturally did not intend to let him go. Defeating all the younger generation of the golden-winged great rocks could be considered a lesson for the golden-winged great rocks. Is this little girl taking the initiative to attack Jialo Jueyu? The second commander should be able to defeat that little girl, right? When little Xingxing fixed his eyes on Jialo Jueyu, the descendants of the golden-winged great rocks in the plaza also began to speculate. If they had seen the little girl challenge Jialo Jueyu to a battle at the beginning, all the descendants of the golden-winged great rocks would probably have laughed their heads off in disdain. But now, no one would be disdainful. Jialo Jueyu's defeat had already proven everything. Some people even began to worry whether the second commander, Jialo Jueyu, would be able to withstand the little girl of mysterious origins. Of course, most people, especially the elders of the golden-winged great rocks, still believed in Jialo Jueyu. They also had absolute confidence that Jialo Jueyu would not be defeated. It was impossible for there to be anyone in the younger generation who could defeat Jialo Jueyu. Even in the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan, among the younger generation of cultivators of the same cultivation level, there shouldn't be anyone who could defeat Jialo Jueyu. At most, they would be able to resist him. This was the confidence of the old man from the golden-winged Great Peng Bird Clan. As long as Jialo Jueyu obtained the final benefits of the grand competition and took the opportunity to break through to the Beast Domain realm, then he would be the #1 person in the younger generation. "You're young, but your strength has indeed made me look at you in a new light. But even if I win our battle, there won't be any glory," Jialo Jueyu said as he looked at little Xingxing. Faint golden flames flickered in little Xingxing's bewitching eyes. He pursed his lips and said, What do you mean? Can you make it clearer? I'm still young, so I don't understand the meaning behind your words. You have a defensive treasure on you that can make you invincible. If I want to suppress you, I'm afraid I'll have to pay a heavy price, Jialo Jueyu said as he looked at little Xingxing. At this moment, he did not treat little Xingxing as a little girl, but as a true opponent. He smiled faintly and said, I know you're not ordinary, but even if you've broken through to the Nirvana Beast Sovereign Realm, you won't be able to do anything to me even if you use your full strength. If we fight, it will be a battle of life and death. Otherwise, there won't be a result. This guy's words are reasonable. Hearing Jialo Jueyu's words, Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly and narrowed his eyes. He agreed with Jialo Jueyu's words. Now that little Xingxing had broken through to the Nirvana Beast Sovereign Realm, her defensive power was abnormal. She also had the Xuanwu divine shell that her father had left for her. As long as she didn't encounter a beast domain cultivator, no one below the beast domain realm would be able to do anything to her. If it were any other race below the beast domain realm, they would only be trampled by little Xingxing. What does the second commander want to do? Do you want to draw? The disciples of the golden-winged great pung bird in the surrounding square were shocked when they heard Jialo Jueyu's high evaluation of little Xingxing. They were also very confused about the meaning behind Jialo Jueyu's words. Could it be that the second commander, who had never been defeated and had always been arrogant, was going to admit defeat in front of that little girl this time? At this moment, many elders were looking at Jialo Jueyu. They also didn't know what Jialo Jueyu wanted to do. Do you want to draw? Little Xingxing raised her eyebrows. Little Xingxing, who had never taken the other beast races seriously, didn't refute Jialo Jueyu's words. She seemed to agree with him in her heart. Chapter 1335. After exchanging blows with Jialo Juekong, little Xingxing knew that the golden-winged Great Rock clan was indeed very strong, and Jialo Juekong was even stronger. Since this is a grand competition, there must be a victor. Otherwise, there will be no such thing as a draw in this world. In the face of life and death, there is no such thing as a draw. There will only be both sides dying. Jialo Juekong smiled slightly. His calm words and the faint smile on his face caused ripples to appear in the eyes of many clan women below. He continued to say to little Xingxing, Do you think your current strength is stronger, or his strength is stronger? As his voice fell, Jialo Juekong suddenly turned his gaze. The faint golden light in his eyes rippled as he looked directly at Du Xiaofu, who was at the edge of the square below. Looking into Jialo Juekong's eyes, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly narrowed as he raised his eyebrows. Palace Master, Jialo Juekong's target is you. The eyes of Spiritual Fantasy Tiger King, Little Ying, Little Falcon, Violent Bear King, and the others immediately trembled. Little Xingxing's eyes turned as he looked at Jialo Juekong in front of him. Then, he looked at his godfather below and said, Of course my father is stronger than me? That's enough. Jialo Juekong still had a smile in his eyes. He was handsome and charming, and his charm was outstanding. He turned and looked at the elders below. He bowed respectfully, but he was neither servile nor overbearing. He said, Clan leader, elders and protectors, this grand competition of the clan is a little special, and there have been some accidents. Therefore, I now request that Du Xiaofu replace the little girl in the final competition. I will fight with Du Xiaofu. If I lose, I will give up the first place in this grand competition. So Jialo Juekong wants to fight with Du Xiaofu. There was an uproar in the square. Everyone finally understood that the second commander Jialo Juekong's real target was Du Xiaofu. In the square, all the elders' eyes moved as they looked at Jialo Changtian. As soon as Jialo Jueyu finished speaking, Jialo Kaling's eyes began to change. Her red lips parted slightly as she was about to reprimand him. She knew Jialo Jueyu's intention very well. However, at this moment, Jialo Changtian raised his hand and waved behind him. Jialo Kailing was about to say something, but she didn't say it. Elders, what do you think? Jialo Changtian asked the Grand Elder and Second Elder beside him. Some special things have already appeared in the competition this time around. Thus, in my opinion, we can make some changes. If no one objects, there won't be any problems, the Third Elder said to Clan Chief Jialo Changtian. If no one objects, then there should be no problem. Jialo Changtian glanced at Du Xiaofu, who was standing at the edge of the square. Then, he said to Jialo Jueyu, "Of course, you have to listen to the opinions of the people involved. If everyone agrees, then the clan will accept the result of the competition." Jialo Jueyu quietly floated in the air, looking down at Du Xiaofu. He didn't show any arrogance, but for some reason, he seemed powerful and fierce. He opened his mouth and said, "Since you are the father of the little girl, I don't think you will object. If you don't dare and are afraid of death, I can let you go. I can even let the little girl win." "Absolutely not. The first place can't be given to an outsider. It's too important." Hearing Jialo Jueyu's words, many of the disciples of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan became restless. Little Star didn't say anything at this moment. She could see that Jialo Jueyu had his eyes on her godfather. If she stopped him now, it would be equivalent to increasing Jialo Jueyu's prestige. She believed that her godfather could solve everything. Spiritual Tiger King, Little Ying, Violent Bear King, Godly Ape King, and even Zixin were looking at him. Du Xiaofu's expression didn't change much. Du Xiaofu lifted his gaze slightly, squinting at Jialo Jueyu in midair. His voice was neither fast nor slow, neither loud nor soft as he said, "Speak your purpose." Jialo Jueyu had his eyes on him. If it was as simple as asking him to replace Little Star in the battle, Du Xiaofu would never believe it. Jialo Jueyu must have a purpose in his heart. Jialo Jueyu looked at Du Xiaofu. A trace of emotion flashed across his eyes. Then, he said, "If I lose, I'll give up the first place. I have nothing to say. If I win, you'll hand over the secret bone in your body and the golden rock wings. This will prove that you don't deserve to have the treasures of my clan." His words were crisp and clear. They echoed in the sky, loud enough for everyone in the square to hear clearly. When those words came out from the sky, the expressions of many people in the area changed. Jialo Kaling's eyes glowed with a golden light. It wasn't difficult for her to know Jialo Jueyu's purpose. Many of the elderly faces in the elders' seating area also intentionally or unintentionally glanced at Du Xiaofu. "Is that so?" Du Xiaofu murmured. He wasn't surprised by Jialo Jueyu's words. "Du Xiaofu, for the sake of the secret bone of my clan and the golden wings of the great rock in your body, I will give you a chance to fight me fair and square. If you are afraid of death and don't dare to fight me, then you don't deserve to have the treasures of my clan. You can choose for yourself." Jialo Jueyu continued, staring at Du Xiaofu. "It seems that Du Xiaofu doesn't dare to do it. That human probably knows that he's no match for the second commander. He doesn't dare to go up." The square was in an uproar. Everyone looked at each other, and almost all of them looked at Du Xiaofu. "What if I'm not interested?" Du Xiaofu sighed softly. He listened to the commotion around him and acted as if he didn't hear it. Du Xiaofu knew very well that even if he defeated Jialo Jueyu today, there would be another Jialo Jueyu. He didn't know when the end would come. Swish, swish, numerous gazes landed on Du Xiaofu. Every single one of them had a change of expression. There were even some gazes that revealed looks of disdain. That human really doesn't dare to fight. Defeating the fourth commander is already his limit. He doesn't even dare to fight the second commander. He doesn't even have the courage. He's really a puny human. He's a disgrace to the secret bone of my golden-winged rock clan and the golden rock wings. A human doesn't deserve to have the treasures of my clan." The crowd was in an uproar. Everyone looked at Du Xiaofu with disdain. "Hand over the secret bone. Hand over the golden rock wings. A human doesn't deserve to have the treasures of my clan. Hand it over." Boom! Gradually, voices spread around the square. The voices grew louder and louder. In the end, there were hundreds of shouts that resounded through the clouds and shook the sky. The Fantasy Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Little Falcon, and the others scanned the surroundings. When they heard the deafening noises, they clicked their tongues in embarrassment and intentionally moved closer to Du Xiaofu. Fantasy Tiger King and the others were worried that the disciples of the golden-winged rock clan would suddenly attack. In the elders' seats, Jialo Changtian and the other elders didn't seem to want to stop the commotion. Instead, they looked at Du Xiaofu. "These bastards." Little Star clenched his fists in the sky and glared at the crowd. "Phew." Du Xiaofu took a light breath. He seemed to have turned a deaf ear to the deafening shouts around him as his gaze remained fixed on Jialo Jueyu. Jialo Kailing's gaze fluctuated more and more intensely as she looked at Jialo Jueyu, who was in the sky. She knew that this fellow was determined to make a move today. With such momentum and the fact that he chose to make a move today, it was most likely because he had misgivings about his grandmother. However, if it was during the grand competition, her grandmother wouldn't be able to pursue the matter. Moreover, the great elder, second elder, and even her father were present. Today is the day of the grand competition. How can you be so noisy? Shut up. Jialo Kailing's tall and slender figure leaped out. Her charming face was slightly gloomy, and her clear voice caused people's hearts to tremble. She shouted loudly, and her voice was like a thunderclap that instantly reverberated in the sky, causing everyone's eardrums to tremble. The clamor in the surroundings gradually subsided under Jialo Kailing's suppression. Their faces were pale, and they no longer dared to make a sound. They were really afraid of the great commander's temper. Even some of the protectors had to retreat a little. However, when the commotion gradually calmed down, a faint voice came from afar. It wasn't loud, but it clearly appeared in the sky above the square. Is the golden-winged rock clan really getting worse and worse? They actually have to challenge a human in the grand competition that is held once every 300 years. I don't know if it's sad or lamentable. The voice wasn't loud and the speed of the voice wasn't fast. Everyone looked at the voice when they heard it. Everyone's gazes landed on the front of the square, where the crowd was densely packed. At this moment, a figure was slowly appearing on an ancient bluestone path. The figure walked very slowly, but strangely, he appeared in front of everyone's eyes very quickly. It was a black-haired man. His head was slightly lowered, so his appearance couldn't be seen. However, from afar, one could see that he was like a jade tree. The black-haired man was also wearing a black shirt. His long black hair was draped behind his neck. At a glance, one could feel that he was an extraordinary young man. Soon, the young man appeared outside the crowd in the square. The black-clothed, black-haired young man did not even raise his head. He just walked leisurely and contentedly. He naturally possessed a great aura that caused the surrounding crowd of golden-winged rocks to automatically open up a path for him. When the black-haired young man appeared, many of the golden-winged rock clan members' expressions changed. For no reason, the surrounding space began to faintly distort. Du Xiaofu's sharp primordial spirit sensed that the surroundings of the square had become strange as the black-haired young man walked over. The black-haired young man walked directly to the square. Under the gaze of everyone present, he slowly but firmly raised his head. His face had long eyebrows that were like willows. His eyebrows were distinct and his eyeballs were like black agates. His eyeballs were pure black. They were so black that they were like an endless abyss at the end of the universe. If one looked at them for a while longer, they would have the illusion that they would be sucked in. Chapter 1336. Boom. The moment the young man's face appeared, many auras surged. Many of the elders were dumbfounded. On the golden battle cloud in the sky, next to the elders' seats in the square, Jialo Jueyu, Jialo Kailing, Jialo Juekong, and all the other outstanding figures of the younger generation of the golden-winged great rocks were shocked at this moment. It's him. Numerous stunned and shocked gazes stared intently at the black-haired, black-robed young man as though they had been electrocuted. Standing in the square, the black-haired young man had a handsome appearance. His temperament was soft and elegant. His black hair had a silky luster, giving people the impression of a prince. Father, it's been 93 years. I'm back. The black-haired young man in a black robe stood on the square and looked at Jialu Changtian, who was sitting at the head of the elders' seats. He bowed and greeted the elders with a smile. Elders, long time no see. Father, he is. Du Xiaofu's gaze trembled as he looked at the black-robed young man. Since he called Jialo Changtian father, wasn't he the son of the golden-winged great rock clan's patriarch, Jialo Changtian? He wondered if he was Jialo Kailing's elder brother or younger brother. While sizing him up, Du Xiaofu suddenly raised his eyebrows slightly. He could feel the aura of the black-robed, black-haired young man. There seemed to be something faintly there. There was a familiar yet strange feeling in his heart. However, that feeling quickly disappeared in Du Xiaofu's heart. It was very strange. Zhu Jialo, you're back. While Du Xiaofu was pondering, golden light surged in Jialo Kailing's eyes. Her tall and delicate body trembled. She moved gracefully and rushed to the black-robed, black-haired young man in disbelief. At the same time, she said happily, "Father, Zhu Jialo is back. Zhu Jialo is back." Looking at Jialo Kailing, the black-robed, black-haired young man smiled slightly. His nose was straight and his skin was like jade. He said softly, "Elder sister, I'm back. It's good that you're back. Don't leave anymore. Stay in the clan." Jialo Kailing caressed the black-robed, black-haired youth's face happily. "Zhu Qi is back. Jialo Juexiao is back. Devil Bone warrior Jialo Jueqi has returned to his clan." The quiet surroundings finally began to stir again. Numerous gazes landed on the black-robed, black-haired youth in astonishment. In the entire golden-winged Great Rocks, there were probably only a few people who did not recognize the black-haired youth, except for some young birds. Jialo Julike has returned. Is it because of the words from 93 years ago? Suddenly, a middle-aged man in the crowd looked at Jialo Jumi from afar. There was shock and a trace of fear in his eyes. It was even to the extent that many young disciples of the younger generation couldn't help but secretly take a step back when they saw the black-robed and black-haired young man. They seemed to be slightly anxious and fearful. "Why did you come back?" Jialo Changtian, who was sitting in the middle, opened his mouth and looked at Jialo Jumi. His expression didn't change at all. "I came back to fulfill my promise. Previously, I said that as long as I'm not dead, I will return today." Jialo Jumi looked at his father, Jialo Changtian, with a calm expression, as if he was looking at someone else. At this moment, the smile on his face was also very calm, giving people a feeling of familiarity and strangeness. Hearing Jialo Jumi's words, the eyes of the elders, protectors, and disciples of the golden-winged Great Rocks surged with golden light. Jialo Kailing's eyes trembled, and her tall body trembled. A sense of helplessness welled up in her heart. She looked at the black-haired youth in front of her with a sour expression. She had been waiting for him to come back. She had also been looking for him to come back. However, she was also afraid that he would come back. Jialo Kailing was very clear about his temper and character. This was what she was most worried about. However, now, the thing that she was most afraid of had happened. "Your promise. Do you think that you have the strength and qualifications to fulfill it now?" Jialo Changtian stared at Jialo Jumi. He wasn't angry, but he had an imposing manner that was enough to look down on the world. It was enough to make living creatures feel cold. "Strength, you will only know after you try. Qualifications, I am a disciple of the golden-winged Great Rocks clan. No one can change that. Today is the clan competition, and I have the qualifications." However, Jialo Jumi was not afraid. He looked straight at his father and did not hide his voice. Suddenly, his voice became sharper. He said, 93 years ago, I said that as long as I am alive, I will definitely come back. I will defeat everyone with my own strength and take back everything that belongs to me. I will let all of you know that even without you, I am still undefeatable. This time, I will take the benefits myself." Jialo Jumi's voice was not loud, but it was as sharp as a knife. Some of the people who were not powerful enough were shocked and took a step back. "Unfilial son." Jialo Changtian slammed the chair beside him. On the simple chair, there was a dragon wind. His voice was trembling, and his eyes were sharp. Golden light surged, frightening people's souls. At this moment, the golden-winged Great Rocks that were resting on the towering trees around the square looked at the black-haired Jialo Jumi in the square. They were shocked. "Who is he? Is he the son of the patriarch? Why haven't I heard of him?" A golden-winged Great Rocks asked the golden-winged Great Rocks beside him in a low voice. He felt the atmosphere of the clan at this moment and was very puzzled. "Lower your voice. He is the son of the patriarch Jialo Jumi. He has the demon bone. Back then, he was the only one in our clan who could fight evenly with the second commander." A golden-winged Great Rocks replied. He was a little older. Although he had not seen the battle back then, He had heard the clan members secretly mention it again. What? He could fight evenly with the second commander? Many golden-winged great rocks around heard this and felt that it was unbelievable. What is the demon bone? What happened back then? Why is he not in the clan? A golden-winged great rocks asked curiously. Don't ask. Be careful not to provoke punishment. A slightly older golden-winged great pung chick scolded the younger ones. It didn't know much, but it knew that these things were taboo in the clan. They had even sealed off the news to prevent it from spreading outside. Even now, the people in the clan did not want to talk about this, so it was better not to ask too much. Anyway, in your heart, I am an unfilial son. 93 years ago, you have already made your decision. I call you father because you are my father. If I had a choice, I would not choose you. Jalo Jumi looked at Jalo Changtian and his expression changed. Then, he calmed down and looked at Jalo Changtian indifferently. There seems to be a story in the golden-winged Great Rocks clan. Looking at what was in front of him, Du Xiaofu's eyes moved slightly. He did not say anything and quietly watched. Good, good, good. Jalo Changtian shouted 3 times in a row. He looked at Jalo Jumi. His eyes were like golden lightning. His expression was dignified, and his voice shook the sky. It was like 3 thunderous roars that made people's hearts tremble. Jumi, go all out. Don't show mercy. When the last word was said, Jalo Changtian looked at Jalo Jumi, who was on the golden battle cloud in the sky, and said, I am afraid that the person you are counting on is not reliable. Jalo Jumi said indifferently, as if he was talking to his father, Jalo Changtian. There was a little arrogance and conceit in his voice. Then, he slightly stomped his foot on the ground, and his figure rose from the ground. He was floating in the air, and looking at Jalo Jumi. Why bother? If you blame me, I can give you the item now. You just need to come back. Looking at Jalo Jumi's expression was solemn, and he sighed. He had been wondering whether the black-robed young man in front of him would come back today. Give it to me? Jalo Jumi smiled faintly and said, Do you think that you are superior now? Or is this a gift to me? I did not blame you in the past, and it is the same now. For me, the item is not important anymore. What I want now is to let you know that after all these years, even if you obtain that item, you are no match for me now. When the time comes, I am afraid it will be a kind of mockery. Jumi, in the end, we are of the same clan. Why bother? If you want first place, I can give it to you, as long as you are willing to come back, said Jalo Jumi calmly. What a joke. Whether I come back or not has nothing to do with you. Jalo Jumi looked at Jalo Jumi and said, If you want to admit defeat, I will gladly accept. Unfortunately, the originally majestic golden-winged Great Pung clan, the supreme beasts of the world, is now cowering. You are no longer the same as before. When they heard Jalo Jumi's words, many of the elders frowned. Ah, since that is the case, let's do it. For 93 years, I have been waiting for this day, said Jalo Jumi. He had been unwilling to break through to the beast region for the sake of the final benefits of the world competition, but it was also because of the black-haired young man in front of him. At this moment, Jalo Jumi knew that both sides had been preparing for this battle for 93 years. It was unavoidable. They had to fight. Is that so? After 93 years today, I will prove to you just how laughable they were back then. Jalo Jumi's voice was very loud, shaking the sky. His heart seemed to be filled with resentment. You have resentment, but the clan has its own considerations. If you want to prove that you are right, then let's do it. As soon as he finished speaking, Jalo Jumi waved his sleeve. A majestic aura swept out like an erupting volcano. In an instant, a surging golden light shot into the sky, accompanied by wind and thunder. Rumbling sounds filled the sky. Boom! All of a sudden, a powerful aura descended, causing even the heavens and earth to tremble. Chapter 1337. Jalo Jumi's black eyes looked at Jalo Jueyu. A moment later, a faint smile appeared on his face. Looking at Jalo Jueyu, his voice was sharp and indifferent. Jalo Jumi said, I will prove it because I am right. Although his words were formless, he did not back down in the slightest. As his words fell, Jalo Jumi closed his eyes and floated in the air, causing the surrounding atmosphere to suddenly become tense. But at this moment, everyone could feel a terrifying and sharp aura suddenly sweeping across the entire place. Chila. In just a short moment, Jialo Jumi's eyes, which had been closed, suddenly opened. The depths of his eyes were as black as ink, strange and faint. But at this moment, a domineering and sharp aura that perfectly merged from Jialo Jumi's body poured out without reservation into the sky. It instantly reached its peak and whistled through the 9 heavens. Boom! At this moment, the sky trembled violently. Strange dark clouds began to gather from the distant sky. The surrounding space trembled as 2 terrifying auras surged in the sky. It seems like there's nothing for me to do. Little Xingxing raised his eyebrows and looked at Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jumi, who were fighting from afar. His bewitching eyes blinked a few times on his chubby face, and he simply retreated to the side. Everyone's gazes, including Zi Xian, Du Xiaofu, Gui Che, Guqin Demon, and the others, all landed in the sky. The 2 extraordinary youths were fighting at this moment. Once they started fighting, the sky would probably collapse and the earth would crack. Jialo Kaling looked at the 2 figures in the air, golden light flickering in her beautiful eyes. What a powerful aura! What a dangerous guy! Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly and looked at Jialo Jumi in the air. The aura on his body was not inferior to Jialo Jueyu's. In particular, the domineering and sharp aura gave people an unfathomable feeling of danger, as if it came from the underworld. Jialo Jueyu looked at Jialo Jumi. He was calm and composed. It was as if his every movement was in harmony with heaven and earth. There was a kind of way about him. Above his head, the light of 3 divine fires flickered. It was very magical, like a miracle. Peak Nirvana Beast Sovereign. That Jialo Jueyu's attainments in Nirvana have already reached the pinnacle. What he has comprehended is not ordinary. It is extraordinary and refined. The Divine Ape King looked at the miraculous Jialo Jueyu and couldn't help but exclaim, "Very different." Du Xiaofu could also sense Jialo Jueyu's aura. His every movement seemed to be one with the heavens and earth and contained the Tao. It was different from ordinary people. 93 years, all for this battle. Let's begin. Jialo Jumi spoke. His figure was like a black rainbow as he rushed out, fast as lightning, incomparably strange, directly towards Jialo Jueyu. I've also waited for 93 years. Jialo Jueyu acted almost at the same time. He didn't retreat. He waved his long sleeves, and golden light surged. It was as if the sun had risen from the east, and golden talisman engravings were everywhere. In an instant, the aura of the golden-winged great rock filled the sky. The aura descended, causing the spiritual fantasy Tiger King, Little Ying, Guqin Demon, and those of the golden-winged great rock clan who were not strong enough to breathe rapidly. They were greatly affected. The battle was about to begin. In the elders' seats, all the elders looked serious and solemn. High up in the sky, golden light and black light surged. Amidst the brilliance, it also made heaven and earth dim. Those who weren't strong enough couldn't see the battle clearly. However, the rumbling energy and thunderous sonic booms made everyone's hearts tremble. Sky-shaking wings. Jialo Jueyu's way was filled. He waved his sleeves and activated the sky-shaking wings. A different kind of terrifying power was released, as if it was going to destroy heaven and earth. Jialo Jueyu's black sleeves also swept out. The golden light carried a strange black talisman engravings, turning into a black-gold color. He also used the sky-shaking wings to meet the attack. The 2 collided, overturning heaven and earth. A spatial vortex appeared high up in the sky. In this kind of collision, the 2 were evenly matched. No one could make the other back down. Rock Chaos Shattering Claw. Jialo Jueyu began to attack again. His claws were like 5 golden lightning bolts that tore through the sky. They could destroy everything, including all life. Chila, Jialo Jueyu blocked with his claws. The claws were like 5 pitch-black abysses in the sky, blocking the golden claws. The 2 exchanged dozens of blows in an instant. They both used the supreme beast energy of the golden-winged Great Rock clan. They didn't hold back at all, and the void almost collapsed. No matter what Jialo Jueyu attacked, Jialo Jueyu countered with the same magical power. He didn't fall behind. It was as if he was forcibly resisting. So strong, so terrifying. Illusion Tiger King, Violent Bear King, and the others were shocked. Their beast souls trembled in fear. The battle of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan's younger generation, as expected of the supreme beast race. Ghost Chariot, who rarely spoke, also spoke. The bloody aura on his body was shocking. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything. He kept his eyes fixed on the sky. Watching the battle between Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jueyu, Du Xiaofu's shock was no less than Illusion Tiger King and Ghost Chariots. Du Xiaofu had also comprehended the beast energy used by Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jueyu. However, he believed that if he were to fight them at the same level, at least in terms of magical power, he wouldn't be able to match them. Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jueyu were definitely much stronger in terms of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan's magical power. Not enough. I'm still not enough. Du Xiaofu was shocked. He wasn't enough. Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jueyu had comprehended the same magical power. Although they came from the same source, they were clearly of different styles. However, they were equally matched. But compared to them, Du Xiaofu felt that both Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jueyu had greater comprehension and control of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan's magical power than he did. The golden-winged Great Rock Clan didn't have Jialo Kaling, who had already broken through to the Beast Region realm. Apart from Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Juekong, there were also existences like Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jueyu among the younger generation. Du Xiaofu was deeply shocked. How terrifying was a supreme beast race? Just by looking at the younger generation, one could tell how strong a race's foundation was. If the Du family becomes like this one day, who would dare to bully us? Du Xiaofu's thoughts churned, and the blood in his body boiled. If the Du family could produce so many top experts in the younger generation, who would dare to bully them in this world? Rumble. As Du Xiaofu was thinking, the sky churned, and golden light and black fog rolled. A deafening collision resounded through the clouds, and then they separated. High up in the sky, Jialo Jueyu stood in the air and looked at Jialo Jueyu with a faint smile. I know what you know, but you might not know what I know. Use your full strength. Otherwise, we won't be able to determine the victor. Whether you believe it or not, I'm happy that you made me use my full strength, Jialo Jueyu said. Said Jialo Jueyu. As he spoke, the golden light on his body dissipated, and his body expanded. Screech! Immediately, a huge golden-winged rock appeared in the sky. It was thousands of feet large and soared in the sky, covering the sun. Its entire body was golden and dazzling, like a beast god. Its aura was terrifying, and it looked disdainfully in all directions. Spiritual Fantasy Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Littling Ying, Gue Che, Guqin Demon, and the others were stunned. That terrifying aura was too strong, much stronger than Jialo Juekong and the others. Screech. In the next moment, a golden light rushed into the sky, covering the sky. A black and golden light soared, and an overwhelming pressure descended, causing the world to tremble. A dark golden rock appeared. It was Jialo Jueyu's true body, and its size was no less than Jialo Jueyu's. Its pair of pitch-black eyes looked down, causing people to tremble in fear. Those pitch-black eyes were like black holes that could devour people's souls. Boom! Two huge golden-winged rocks appeared, and they directly flapped their wings and collided with each other. Like beast gods, they spread their wings and soared into the clouds, causing the space to ripple and churn. The two huge golden-winged rocks collided with each other. Their wings swept everything, and their sharp claws destroyed the void. As they collided, the sound of wind and thunder resounded in the sky. Runes shone brightly, and the impact of energy swept up a frenzy. At this moment, the two golden-winged rocks collided with each other. All kinds of beasts made Du Xiaofu unable to take his eyes off them, most of which he had never seen before. Screech! The dark golden rock roared, and a dark golden light shot out from its mouth like a bolt of lightning. It was fierce and overbearing, and wherever it passed, the space exploded. The golden rock stretched out its wings, and the golden light exploded, destroying the void. The two fought until the sky darkened, and the earth cracked. It was as if doomsday had arrived. If there were no seals around the square at this moment, and no powerful talisman erased to solidify it, it would have been completely destroyed. The battle between the two huge creatures was fierce and overbearing, and it was incomparably fierce. It shocked all the golden-winged rocks, elders, and protectors. The fantasy Tiger King, Wild Bear King, Littling Ing, and the others were awestruck. Suppress. The resplendent golden-winged Great Pung roared, erupting with endless golden runes that engulfed the dark golden-winged Great Pung. A terrifying pressure made the blood of the golden-winged Great Pung disciples boil. Du Xiaofu raised his eyes. At this moment, Jialo Jueyu was like a rock descending to the 9 heavens, but the pressure seemed to be even stronger. Are you trying your best? But it doesn't seem to be enough. Jialo Jueyu roared, and dark golden runes burst out from his wings. Blazing like thunder and lightning, they swept out in all directions. It didn't take long for him to break through Jialo Jueyu's suppression. He actually blocked Jialo Jueyu. At this moment, in the elders' seats below, the first elder, second elder, and the others' eyes began to fluctuate violently. Jialo Changtian looked at the sky, and his expression didn't change much. Jialo Jueyu, where's your true bone? Use your true bone. Chapter 1338. Jialo Juemei's pitch-black eyes were ice-cold, his voice as sharp as a blade. I don't think I need to use my true bones. Jialo Juemei opened his mouth and flapped his wings. Golden light overflowed from his enormous body as golden feathers flew out. There were a total of 9 golden feathers, each the size of a palm leaf fan. After they gathered together, the light gradually became more and more dazzling, more and more resplendent. In the end, it was as if the feathers had turned into a dazzling sun. Boom! The gathering of the 9 feathers gave off an incomparably domineering and supreme feeling. A pressure that could make the world tremble instantly enveloped Jialoja. Those were only 9 feathers, yet they possessed such supreme might. How shocking was that? Those feathers are extraordinary. Du Xiaofu was shocked. As the feathers appeared, the blood in his body also began to boil. Du Xiaofu guessed that the feathers were definitely of extraordinary origin. They must be closely related to the great golden-winged rock clan. Otherwise, the blood in his body would not have such a huge reaction. Feathers of the true rock, you finally used them. Jialo Juemei's pitch-black eyes rippled as he looked at the feathers that were as resplendent as the sun. However, a trace of coldness and resentment also surged into his eyes. Gee! Jialo Juemei screeched, his voice piercing through the clouds and splitting stone. Dark golden light suddenly surged behind his enormous dark golden body. Runes flowed and an aura that reached the heavens erupted. A total of 27 resplendent feathers wrapped in black and gold light appeared. The black and gold feathers were exactly the same as the 9 feathers that Jialo Juemei had activated, except that they were wrapped in black and gold light. How is this possible? When the 27 feathers leapt out, the expressions of many elders in the elder seating area below suddenly changed. Even the first elder and second elder's eyes surged with golden light like lightning, their aged faces changing in shock. At this moment, Jialo Changtian's undetectable expression also trembled. The 27 feathers wrapped in black and gold light flew out, transforming into 27 battle spears under Jialo Juemei's control. Swish, swish. The 27 feather spears were as bright as lightning. Each one of them pierced through the air. They were powerful and intimidating, giving people a frightening feeling. Gee, these 27 feather spears seemed to be indestructible. They even carried the illusory image of the great golden-winged rock. You only have 9 true rock feathers, while I have 27. How could you possibly be my match? Break for me. Jialo Jumi shouted coldly. His fierce and overbearing aura made people tremble in fear. The 27 battle spears transformed into dazzling spears that pierced through the air directly in front of the 9 feathers. With a vast and overbearing aura, the spears pierced through the light and scattered the 9 feathers in an instant. Withdraw. As the 9 feathers were scattered, Jialo Jumi's pitch-black eyes flashed with coldness. He flapped his wings, and his 27 battle spears formed into 9 triangular formations. They appeared in threes and threes, sealing the space. Dazzling dark golden runes erupted with a vast power. They directly sealed the 9 feathers of Jalojumi and brought them back to him. Jalojumi's giant wings flapped, turning into a black and gold vortex that directly swallowed the 9 feathers. Not good. Jumi's true rock feathers have been taken. 27 true rock feathers. Jumi actually has 27. In the elder seating area, some elders exclaimed and trembled. They all knew what the true rock feathers represented. A single true rock feather was already a precious treasure. The golden-winged Great Rock Clan had only collected 9 over the countless years. It is said that there was a heaven-reaching ancestor of my clan who wanted to break into the domain realm but failed. Before he died, he used his great strength to refine his body with the help of the heavens and earth. In the end, he refined his body into 72 true rock feathers. Each true rock feather is a precious treasure. It is said that if you gather 72 true rock feathers, you will be able to obtain a wisp of divine will. But in the end, the 72 true rock feathers were fought over by the powerhouses of this world and were lost forever. Over the years, my clan has only been able to find 5 feathers. I never thought that Jumi would have 27. The third elder's old face was filled with shock, his body trembling slightly, his heart filled with excitement. With the 9 true rock feathers stolen, Jalojumi's giant body was forced back. A trace of golden blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and his expression became serious. Back then, the true rock feathers fell into your hands. Now, I have taken them myself. Use your true bones. Otherwise, you will no longer be a match for me. Jalojumi's pitch-black eyes looked straight at Jalojumi, his gaze filled with arrogance and fear. He knew that Jalojumi's strongest strength was his true bones. Everything that had happened now was not Jalojumi's strongest strength. In that case, I have no other choice. All these years, I was afraid that I would not be able to fight you today. I was afraid that no one would be able to stop you, so I did not dare to take this step. You should know that in front of my true bones, no one at the same level as me can stop me. As Jalojumi spoke, a dazzling light suddenly surged from his abdomen, wanting to break out of his body. The golden light was like an arc of electricity, and then it covered his entire body. Ancient runes appeared on his body and spread out in all directions. Boom! At this moment, this part of the world began to roar. Strong winds came from the sky, and golden light filled the sky, causing the world to resonate. At this moment, there were only dazzling ancient runes in the sky. The runes in the sky all around, and the ground that had been strengthened by the runes, began to crack silently. Rumble, high up in the sky, there seemed to be a rumbling sound coming from the depths of the firmament, as if someone was beating a heavenly drum in the depths of the firmament. The violent sound produced a strange rumbling sound, as if it was beating on people's hearts, causing them to tremble violently. It was as if someone was hammering on the heart and the primordial spirit, causing their souls to shatter and their hearts to tremble violently. How terrifying! What kind of remarkable ability is this? The spiritual Tiger King, the savage Bear King, and Little Ying's souls were all trembling at this moment. They cried out in alarm and wanted to prostrate themselves on the ground. Rumble! The low rumbling sound rang out. Even Du Xiaofu, who had fused 2 types of spiritual lightning and spiritual root, felt his heart tremble. His primordial spirit trembled, and whether it was his physical body or primordial spirit, it was as if they were about to be shattered. That terrifying rumbling sound suppressed the heavens and the earth. There's a special bone in his body that's the source of the pressure. Du Xiaofu looked at Jialo Jueyu's huge body and sensed the source of the terrifying pressure. It was a bone under Jialo Jueyu's abdomen. Suppress! Jialo Jueyu shouted. His voice was like thunder. Ancient runes and dazzling golden light covered the sky and covered Jialo Jueyu. It was as if an unparalleled true rock had awoken, erupting with a terrifying aura from ancient times. Rumble! At this moment, Jialo Jueyu soared through the sky. Everywhere he passed, the sky shattered, and a series of terrifying rumbling sounds erupted. It was as if thousands of people were hammering on heavenly drums in the depths of the firmament. Hundreds of drums sounded in unison, shaking everyone's hearts and causing their souls to scatter. You haven't broken through that step, and neither have I. For this day, I have waited for 30 years. For 30 years, I didn't allow myself to take that step, because today is the day I will take back everything that belongs to me. These cold words came out of Jialo Jueyu's mouth. At the same time, a bone under his abdomen seemed to want to break out of his body, erupting with a black light and ancient runes. Rumble. In an instant, half of the sky was filled with rolling dark clouds, faintly revealing flashes of lightning and thunder. Woo-woo! In the depths of the firmament, it was as if ghosts were crying and gods were howling. The sound was low, but it made one's hair stand on end. It was enough to make one's body shrink and make one's primordial spirit tremble. A vast and boundless aura of darkness quietly surged out, permeating the world. The pressure is too strong. I can't hold on any longer. My body wants to explode. I can't hold on any longer. Bang, bang, bang. Gee, finally, at this moment, under the two equally terrifying pressures, the disciples of the golden-winged great rocks around the square below, some of the stronger ones knelt down one after another. The weaker ones directly urged their bodies to crawl on the ground. Those below the Beast Emperor realm were unable to resist at all. Only those at the Beast Sovereign realm were able to put up a final resistance under the two terrifying pressures, their faces flushed red and their bodies trembling. Jialo Jueyu has also reached the peak of the Nirvana Beast Sovereign realm. He could have broken through 30 years ago. The demonic bone. Jialo Jueyu has activated the demonic bone. Has Jialo Jueyu completely integrated with the demonic bone? In the face of the terrible pressure, some of the golden-winged great rocks finally couldn't help but exclaim. Some of the elders in the elders' seats also began to tremble at this moment. Chapter 1339. You have true bones. I have demonic bones. The Tao is 1 foot high. The devil is 10 feet high. How can you suppress me? Jialo Jumi shouted coldly. He flapped his wings and flew out. His dark demonic aura filled the sky. It was as if he was carrying the demonic realm of the underworld with him. He looked like he was about to destroy the world and collided with Jialo Jumi. The two did not use any fancy moves. It was just the simplest and most domineering collision of destruction. This collision was like the battle between darkness and the sun. It was so powerful that it could destroy the world and destroy everything. A pitch-black semicircle of light appeared at the point of collision. Buffed. The terrifying collision left those below speechless. For some reason, even some of the golden-winged rock disciples had blood flowing out of their mouths. Spiritual Illusion Tiger King, Little Ying, Little Falcon, and the others all had blood flowing out of their mouths. Gui Che, Guqin Demon, and Ape God King were all red in the face. They did not say a word. Du Xiaofu's body emitted a golden light. He felt his chest tighten and his primordial spirit tremble. He was being squeezed by two terrifying forces. It was as if the space was about to explode. Puffed. Blood flowed out of Jialo Jumi's mouth. Blood also appeared in Jialo Jumi's mouth. Neither of them backed down. They continued to collide. Oh my God! Jumi is injured. It's still a tie. Jumi is blocking Jumi. Demonic bone is blocking the true bone. Below, some of the golden-winged rock experts exclaimed. They could not help but tremble. Boom! Jialo Jumi and Jialo Jumi faced each other. The sky rumbled. Ghosts cried and gods howled. Heavenly drums sounded. Black light gushed out. Brilliant golden light filled the air and swallowed up the void. The demonic aura filled the sky. It was as if it had rushed out from the demonic realm. It was extremely terrifying. Brilliant golden light filled the air. Tao rumbled. Together with the multicolored light, it was extremely powerful. At this moment, the two of them clashed. Light alternated between black and white, drowning the world. Destructive energy filled the air. Crack, crack. The talisman arrays and seals around them began to shatter. The void was destroyed, revealing a vacuum. It was enough to make one's hair stand on end. Victory and defeat were still hard to determine. Both individuals spat out pung blood from their mouths, and their flesh cracked apart under the tremendous pressure. Their feathers were dyed in blood. It's still a stalemate. They can't decide the victor. Fifth Elder Jialo Yuan-Tu exclaimed in surprise. Juelio has been outside for decades, yet he can still compare to Juelio. Unbelievable. Fourth Elder Jialo Yi spoke, sighing for Jialo Jumi. Too strong. At this moment, Du Xiaofu stared at the sky with great difficulty. Under that terrifying pressure, he thought that if he were to encounter either of those two terrifying people, he would definitely not be able to gain an advantage. With the current strength of Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jumi, these two terrifying people, they would probably be able to directly fight against a martial domain realm cultivator. Even if the two of them were unable to do anything to the martial domain realm, it would be easy for them to trample on a half-domain realm cultivator. What shocked Du Xiaofu even more was the potential of these two. In the Beast Clan, both Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jumi were of the younger generation, yet they were already so tyrannical. In the future, Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jumi, these two terrifying people, how terrifying would they become? I really didn't expect that we would still be unable to decide the victor between us. Jumi, stop. You can be the first. As long as you remove the demonic bone in your body, you can have anything you want. Jialo Jueyu spoke. Since the battle had already reached this stage, he knew that there was no way to decide the victor unless it was a battle of life and death. And a battle of life and death was something he had never thought of going that far. Is this charity or pity? Could it be that because I have the demonic bone in my body, I am an unpardonable evil in your eyes, a scourge, a thorn in your flesh? Why can't you tolerate me? Jialo Jumi shouted coldly. His pitch-black eyes were filled with resentment and coldness. Demonic chi filled the sky. The clan is doing this for your own good. You have the demonic bone in your body and are in great danger. Once you transform into a demon, it will be a disaster for the world and also a disaster for my golden-winged rock clan. Jialo Jueyu, who was shrouded in ancient and resplendent runes, continued, Jumi, stop. You can still turn back now. Even if you lose the demonic bone, you still have the feathers of the true rock. You still have this chance. You are still a hero among your peers in this world. Ha 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 ha. Jialo Jueyu, you have become more and more like those pedantic people these years. You have the true rock in your body. How laughable and lamentable. What a pity for the true rock. Jialo Jumi's cold laughter stopped. He suddenly shouted, Stop. Do you think it's possible for us to be evenly matched? Do you really think that I can't defeat you? As his cold voice fell, a black light suddenly rushed out from Jialo Jumi's huge body. And at this moment, Du Xiaofu was suddenly surprised. The thunder martial vein in his body began to stir. This feeling was similar to the one he had felt from Jialo Jumi. Chi-la, suddenly, a black light rushed out from Jialo Jumi's body and turned into black lightning. Black lightning arcs spread across the sky. The entire sky was filled with black lightning waves in a short moment. The scene was extremely terrifying. At this moment, lightning flashed and thunder roared between heaven and earth. Dark clouds rolled, and the aura was terrifying. Boom, boom, boom. Amidst the lightning and thunder, the sky exploded. Dozens of black lightning arcs overflowed and rushed into the sky. What a terrifying aura of thunder and lightning. It seems like it can destroy everything. Little Ying, the Fire Dragon King, the Divine Ape King, and the others trembled. Under the aura of the black lightning, their beast souls were terrified for no reason. Spiritual thunder, that's a spiritual thunder. Jumi's body has merged with a spiritual thunder. Fifth Elder Jialo Yuan-Tu suddenly stood up at this moment. His scholarly robes fluttered, and the golden light in his eyes trembled. 9 Underworld Demonic Thunder. That's the 9 Underworld Demonic Thunder. The Great Elder spoke. His light golden hair swayed gently beside his ears, and his eyes trembled. Spiritual thunder. Jialo Jumi's body has merged with a spiritual thunder. Du Xiaofu looked up at the sky. The thunder martial vein in his body was fluctuating, and the 2 thunder soul seeds in his primordial spirit were also fluctuating. That black lightning was a type of spiritual thunder. Du Xiaofu knew the difficulty of merging with a spiritual thunder. Once an ordinary person's physical body came into contact with the spiritual thunder, it was enough to be destroyed. The difficulty and danger could be imagined. Jalo Kaling looked up, and at this moment, she was also shocked. In a short period of time, the entire sky had turned into a sea of black lightning in front of everyone's shocked eyes. Boom, boom, boom. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. Thunderclaps exploded one after another as a terrifying pressure descended. Dense bolts of dark lightning covered the entire sky, threatening to drown the entire world. The black lightning rippled in all directions. Finally, in the surging, it turned into a black lightning seal. Go! Jalo Jumi shouted coldly. The black lightning seal was dazzling and blazing as it directly slammed towards Jalo Jueyu. Boom, boom, boom. The black lightning seal swept out with unparalleled power. It was like a demon's domain covering the sky. Everywhere it passed, the void turned into nothingness and then collapsed. Arcs of lightning as thick as an arm flashed in the void, making people's hearts palpitate and their hair stand on end. Chila, the black lightning seal, landed on Jalo Jueyu's body. At this moment, Jalo Jueyu's eyes surged with uneasiness and fear. The ancient runes on his body began to tremble. Jalo Jueyu's demon bone continued to confront it. At this moment, Jalo Jueyu was unable to dodge at all. Then, the ancient runes on his body shattered. A terrifying lightning power swept through Jalo Jueyu's body and invaded his body. The black lightning was like a vast ocean, drowning the surroundings. It was full of demonic chi and a terrifying destructive power. Bang, bang, bang. Finally, the black lightning exploded on Jalo Jueyu's body. His feathers were shattered, and cracks appeared on his body. Rock blood kept pouring out. Jalo Jueyu is going to lose. Everyone below was shocked. One after another, the elders stood up and trembled. Sure enough, Jalo Jueyu was defeated like a collapsing mountain. His true bones could no longer support him. He was forced back continuously and finally spat out mouthfuls of blood. PFFF. After spitting out the last mouthful of rock blood, Jalo Jueyu's golden eyes were filled with shock and horror. The runes on his body dimmed, and he was covered in wounds. Jalo Jueyu knew that he had lost. He had lost completely and directly. Chila, everything around Jalo Jueyu began to converge. The mystic bones returned to silence. The spiritual thunder receded. Everything in the sky began to calm down. At this moment, the gazes of the people around were unable to recover for a long time. No one would have thought that Jalo Jueyu, the number one rock with a true bone, would be defeated. He was defeated by Jalo Jueyu, who had not returned for 93 years. Jalo Jueyu's huge body converged and turned into his human form. He was still wearing the same black robe and black hair. The invisible aura was like a demon at this moment. His eyes were cold. The powerful invisible aura made people tremble. He opened his mouth and said to Jalo Jueyu, "You lost. Lost? I really lost." Jalo Jueyu also converged his body. His body was dripping with blood. He looked like a wolf. His aura was weak and his eyes were a little blank. He looked at Jalo Jueyu as if he had met a new person. Jalo Jueyu looked at Jalo Jueyu and then looked around the square. His eyes were cold and emotionless. Ha 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 ha. Suddenly, Jalo Jueyu laughed. His laughter echoed in the silent sky. He laughed loudly and said, 93 years ago, I said here that as long as I am not dead, I will definitely return. I will take back everything that belongs to me with my own strength. I will let you all know that without you, I will be invincible. Do you see now? The so-called true bones can't even withstand a single blow. Chapter 1340. As Ling Li's words fell, the entire square froze. At the elders' seats, the faces of the elders were a little stiff at this moment. 93 years ago, on the day Jalo Jueme returned to the clan, he shocked the entire clan with his 27 true rock feathers, 1 demonic bone, and 9 underworld demonic lightning. He defeated Jalo Jueme, who was almost impossible to defeat. In the hearts of the golden-winged great rocks, it was impossible for anyone under the martial domain or beast domain to defeat Jalo Juan. But now, The demonic bone youth who had left the clan in anger had returned, and with a shocking feat, he had defeated Jialo Jueyu right before their eyes. I don't think anyone will object to me taking first place in this competition. Jialo Jume looked around, then looked at his father, Jialo Changtian, who was sitting in the middle of the elders' seats. He said calmly, "My father, elders, this time, are you still going to give the benefits of the seal to Jialo Jume?" The first elder, second elder, and the others looked at Jialo Changtian. "I don't care how you obtained the 27 true rock feathers and the 9 underworld demonic lightning, but if you turn into a demon after fusing with the demonic bone, it will be a disaster for the world, and also a disaster for the golden-winged great rocks. You haven't completely fused with the demonic bone yet. There is still a chance to turn back." Jialo Changtian stood up and looked at Jialo Juame with anger. His golden eyes were filled with disdain as he said, "Otherwise, I will sever our father-son relationship, dig out the demonic bone, and expel you from the clan." His voice reverberated and entered the ears of everyone in the surroundings. It was like a thunderclap that resounded in their minds, shaking their eardrums to the point of pain. The clan leader's anger shocked everyone. The blood of the golden-winged great rocks boiled, their hearts trembling. "Ha ha ha ha!" Jialo Jume raised his head and laughed loudly. His laughter was like swords, but also like thunder. His voice seemed to be mixed with unwillingness, resentment, and anger. Hearing that voice, one couldn't help but feel grief and anger in their hearts. Anyone who heard that voice would involuntarily weaken their aura when facing the black-clothed, black-haired youth. "You guys just can't tolerate me, can't tolerate me. What did I do wrong that you guys can't tolerate me, Jialo Jieyu?" Jialo Jumi's voice was very loud, shaking the heavens, resounding through the clouds, shaking some of the golden-winged great Peng disciples until their ears were ringing. Du Xiaofu looked at Jialo Juexiao. Under that sorrowful voice, he could feel a silent and helpless anger and helplessness. He could feel the anger in Jialo Juexiao's heart, and his heart was moved. "Father, don't." Jialo Kailing's beautiful face turned pale. Her eyes changed color as she said to Jialo Jumi, "Jumi, listen to me. Sister is begging you to turn back. Give up the demonic bone, and you can still be arrogant in this world." "Sister, you don't understand me either?" Jialo Jumi looked at Jialo Kailing with a slight smile on his face. There was some blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked helpless and ferocious. "Your sister is doing this for your own good. Juku, turn back." The old voice came from afar. As the voice faded, a figure appeared in the distance. "Grandmother." Looking at the figure that appeared in the distant sky, Jialo Jumi's pitch-black eyes rippled. His fierce and ferocious expression began to slowly fade. In just an instant, an old and tottering figure appeared in the sky. It was an old lady with white hair and wearing a pale golden robe. Looking at Jialo Jumi, the old lady's wrinkled face, which had been sculpted by the passage of time, squeezed out a smile. "Greetings, sacred elder." As the old lady appeared in the sky, the great elder, the second elder, and the others immediately stood up and bowed respectfully. The surrounding golden-winged great Peng disciples looked at the great elder, the second elder, and the others respectfully bowed. They were all shocked and trembled. They immediately knelt on one knee on the ground. Jialo Changtian stood up. At this moment, in front of the old lady, he was also very respectful. "Grandmother." Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked at the old lady. It was the grandmother he recognized in the golden-winged great Peng clan. "Great-grandmother, why are you here?" In the distant sky, little Xingxing's tender voice called out intimately. The little figure happily flew to the old lady's side. The old lady's withered hand held little Xingxing's little hand and gently patted the back of little Xingxing's head. This scene made Jialo Changtian, the great elder, the second elder, and the others all puzzled. "Grandmother, are you okay?" Jialo Jumi asked. Looking at the old lady, his pitch-black eyes rippled with complicated emotions. "I'm fine. I'm just a little worried about you." The old lady looked at Jialo Jumi and smiled. "Jumi is unfilial." Jialo Jumi lowered his head. At this moment, in front of the old lady, there was no longer any fierce aura. He was like a child who had admitted his mistake. You are not unfilial. These years outside, you must have suffered a lot. Don't leave in the future. Stay in the clan and accompany me more. Okay? The old lady asked. Grandmother, the clan can't tolerate me. Jalo Jumi raised his head and looked at the old lady. There was some fluctuation in the depths of his pitch-black eyes. The clan has its worries. You are the descendant of the golden-winged Great Pong Bird clan. You should understand. The old lady said, Give up the demon bone. Anyway, I'm already so old. It won't be long before I reach the end of my life. How about I give you all my inheritance? Plus, you have the true Pong Feather and the 9 underworld demon lightning. Your future achievements will be limitless. Jalo Jumi looked at the old lady. After a moment, he suddenly knelt down in the air and respectfully kowtowed 3 times to the old lady. He said, Grandmother, forgive me for being unfilial. You are still as stubborn as usual. After a long time, the old lady sighed. There was a faint smile on her wrinkled face. Only little Xing Xing felt that the old lady's palm that was holding his little hand was squeezing very hard at this moment. His tottering body was trembling. This is not stubbornness. I am not wrong. Jalo Jumi said to the old lady. He had always believed that he was not wrong. So what if he had the demon bone? Everything was not his fault. The 9 underworld demon lightning should not be able to let you completely integrate with the demon bone. Your purpose in coming back to the clan should be to completely integrate with the demon bone. But I can't let you do as you wish. Don't blame me. The old lady's voice trembled slightly. Jalo Jumi did not refute. He was silent for a moment. Then, he looked at the old lady and said, If you want to make a move, I will not dare to fight back. My life is in your hands. You are not reconciled. You are not convinced? The old lady said, Of course I am not reconciled. Of course I am not convinced. Jalo Jumi gritted his teeth. There was blood at the corner of his mouth. There was a hint of desolation and ferocity. He said, 93 years ago, I was not convinced. Today, Jalo Jueyu was defeated. The clan still cannot tolerate me. How can I be convinced? The old lady looked at Jalo Jumi. On her old face, there was a hint of loneliness. She said, Then how can you be convinced? Jalo Jumi looked at the old lady. He gritted his teeth and said, If anyone of the same generation in the clan can defeat me, I have nothing to say. Otherwise, even if I die, I will not be convinced. Chapter 1341. His voice was stubborn and domineering as it reverberated through the air, causing the gazes of all the golden-winged rocks to waver. Regardless of whether it was the elders, protectors, or the young and young of the clan, they all knew that even Jalo Jueyu had been defeated. How could anyone in the younger generation of the clan be a match for Jalo Jumi? It was impossible. If no one in the clan of the same cultivation level can defeat me, then how can I accept it? If the protectors and elders of the clan attack, I will naturally be no match for them. However, which rule of the clan does not allow those with demonic bones? What right do you have to attack me? Is it because the clan of golden-winged rocks cannot tolerate me, Jalo Jumi? I refuse to accept this. Jalo Jumi shouted with his head held high. His voice was like thunder, shaking the surroundings. However, from beginning to end, Jalo Jumi was very calm. Even if he was unwilling to accept this, he was not in a hurry. His voice reverberated through the air, landing among the golden-winged rocks. Everyone had different feelings. Some elders were shocked and also regretful. Jalo Jumi was such a descendant, yet he had the demonic bone. If not for the demonic bone, Jalo Kaling, Jalo Jueyu, and Jalo Jumi would have been enough to become the 3 pillars of the golden-winged rocks' younger generation. It would not have been long before they could support the entire golden-winged rocks. However, Jalo Jumi had the demonic bone. It was a pity that the heroic young man was gone. It was a pity. All the young and young of the golden-winged rocks looked at the black-clothed, black-haired young man with shock. The black-haired, black-clothed young man made them feel as if they were facing a storm. It was shocking. How extraordinary. The old lady looked at Jalo Jumi with heartache and sadness. Her heart trembled. Her aged face had a complicated expression, and there were fluctuations in her eyes. Jumi, Granny asks you, If someone in the same generation as you can defeat you, will you give up on the demonic bone? The old lady asked again, looking at Jalo Jumi. Everyone looked at the old lady, including the elders and protectors. They were all shocked and puzzled. Even Jalo Jueyu had been defeated. Who else in the clan could stop Jalo Jumi? Could it be Jalo Kaling? But Jalo Kaling had already broken through to the beast realm. Grandma, do you want my sister to make a move? Jalo Jumi looked at the old lady and asked, You won't be convinced if I let your sister fight. You said it before, it's fine as long as there's someone who can defeat you. The old lady's voice calmed down. Could it be that there's a top-notch expert hidden within the golden-winged great rocks? Du Xiaofu was also confused. The old lady seemed to be quite confident, but now that Jalo Jueyu had been defeated, it didn't seem appropriate for Jalo Kaling to make a move. From the looks of it, Du Xiaofu guessed that there could only be other top-notch existences hidden in the golden-winged great rocks. Jalo Jumi looked at the old lady, but his gaze suddenly became somewhat strange. He felt that the old lady seemed to be somewhat unfathomable at this moment. After a few breaths, Jalo Jumi nodded and said to the old lady in a deep voice, If there's someone in the clan who can defeat me, I have nothing to say. I have the demonic bone, but I can't become a sovereign. So what if I give up the demonic bone? Good. Remember what you said? As the old lady's words to Jalo Jumi faded, under the gazes of many below, the eyes on her aged face looked towards Du Xiaofu below. Swish, swish. In an instant, numerous gazes fell on Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was also stunned. He looked at the old lady's gaze and faintly had a bad premonition. Xiaofu. The old lady opened her mouth and straightened her stumbling and hunched body. A slight smile appeared on her wrinkled old face. Greetings, Grandma. Du Xiaofu took 2 steps forward and respectfully bowed. Kowtowing to greet his grandmother naturally meant it. However, at this moment, when he saw Du Xiaofu bowing, Jalo Jumi's pitch-black eyes revealed a look of surprise and was extremely puzzled. Xiaofu, Jalo Jumi pondered for a moment. He seemed to have heard this name somewhere before, but for a moment, he couldn't remember it. Perhaps he remembered wrongly. You heard it too. You should make your move. Just treat it as a favor for Grandma, the old lady said to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was immediately stunned. His expression froze on his face. If it was an ordinary half-domain cultivator, Du Xiaofu would definitely not be afraid. At the very least, he had the strength to protect himself. But at this moment, facing Jalo Jumi, Du Xiaofu was incomparably clear in his heart that his chances of winning were almost zero. Don't feel pressured. It doesn't matter if you lose, as it will be the will of the heavens. However, if you win, the first place of this competition will be yours. When the time comes, you will also be given benefits. Your conjoined body technique has already reached the point of refining the divine body. If you can obtain the benefits of this competition, you will have a 50% chance of refining the divine body successfully. After the old lady finished speaking to Du Xiaofu, she glanced at the elders in the elders' seats and said, I believe that no one in the clan will object, right? The elders' faces stiffened slightly. No one objected, because no one really believed that the human Du Xiaofu could stop Jalo Jumi. Although everyone now knew that Du Xiaofu wasn't simple, the reason was simple. Jalo Jueyu had also been defeated. No matter how strong Du Xiaofu was, could he be stronger than Jalo Jueyu? At this moment, Jalo Jueyu, Jalo Juekong, and the others, who had already retreated to a corner of the square, were watching Du Xiaofu and the old lady in the sky with complicated expressions. Is the Hall Master really going to fight Jalo Jumi? The Fantasy Tiger King, the Savage Bear King, Little Ying, and the others all stared nervously at Du Xiaofu. They naturally knew Du Xiaofu's strength, but after watching the battle between Jalo Jumi and Jalo Jueyo, the Fantasy Tiger King and the others couldn't help but worry for Du Xiaofu. The Hall Master is only a peak chaotic element martial venerate, right? The Fantasy Tiger King said weakly. If Du Xiaofu was also a peak nirvana martial venerate, perhaps they wouldn't be so worried. After all, it was hard to say who would win and who would lose. Only by exchanging blows would they know. However, now that the Fantasy Tiger King thought about it, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air on behalf of Du Xiaofu. Refinement of the divine body is 50% complete, Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. He still didn't know how to refine the divine body. Back then, the mystic bones he had obtained had been damaged. Fortunately, the great golden-winged rock technique he had obtained had been complete. However, many of the great golden-winged rock's beast energy in the mystic bones he had obtained back then had been incomplete. Perhaps in the future, as he grew stronger, he would have the opportunity to mend the inadequacies of the mystic bones. However, that would be an illusory and difficult process. The quickest way was to comprehend the complete supreme beast energy of the golden-winged great rocks in the clan. Grandmother, that person seems to be a human. How can he be from my clan? Grandmother, do you think he can defeat me? Jialo Jumi's eyes flickered. Before he had fought with Jialo Jueyu, it seemed like Jialo Jueyu had wanted to fight that human, but that human hadn't dared to step forward. Moreover, he didn't care about a mere human. Du Xiaofu is also my grandson. The blood in his body and the technique he cultivates are all from my clan. He is of the same generation as you. Let him fight with you, the old lady said to Jialo Jumi. In that case, let's do as grandmother says. Jialo Jumi nodded, but he didn't look at Du Xiaofu. That guy is very strong. Zixian's voice reached Du Xiaofu's ears. Her voice was soft and gentle, but it still sounded like the sound of nature. She looked up at Jialo Jumi in the sky, her purple eyes flickering with purple light. Du Xiaofu looked at Zixian, pouted, and said softly, I'm also very strong. When Zixian heard this, she glanced at Du Xiaofu and no longer paid any attention to him. Xiaofu. The old lady looked at Du Xiaofu again. Secretly gritting his teeth, Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly, looked at the old lady, and nodded. It can't be. That human didn't even dare to fight against the second commander. Now he wants to fight Jialo Jumi. That human is probably going to go up and beat him. There was a commotion in the square. For the descendants of the Golden-Winged Rock clan, no one thought that Du Xiaofu could stop Jialo Jumi. The discussions around naturally reached Du Xiaofu's ears, and he smiled bitterly. Du Xiaofu wanted to fight Jialo Jumi, but it wasn't for the benefits that the old lady said. Even if there were no benefits, the old lady had spoken. Even if he couldn't win, Du Xiaofu still had to fight. To be honest, Du Xiaofu's blood was boiling as he watched the competition between the younger generation of the Golden-Winged Rock clan. After all, they were all of the younger generation. Watching the competition between the younger generation of the Golden-Winged Rock clan, as the leader of the 12 Kyushu heroes, and with the Golden-Winged Rock mystic bone and cultivation method, Du Xiaofu's heart had been moved, and there was a fighting spirit suppressed in his body. Just now, watching the battle between Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jumi, Du Xiaofu had been secretly comparing in his heart how he would fight if he encountered them. At this moment, facing Jialo Jumi, Du Xiaofu wasn't afraid at all. Instead, he suppressed a kind of excitement and anticipation in his heart. This kind of excitement and anticipation came from the rock blood in Du Xiaofu's body, from the thunder martial vein in his body, and from the fusion of the spiritual root and spiritual thunder soul seed in his primordial spirit. Qi, golden light surged under the soles of his feet, and his purple robe suddenly shook. Du Xiaofu's figure flew out like a god, like a series of afterimages, and landed in the center of the square. That human, is he really looking for a beating? At this moment, all the gazes in the surroundings were focused on the purple-robed young man. Du Xiaofu's purple robe fluttered in the wind, and his long hair danced behind him. He raised his head slightly and smiled. He said softly to the crowd, I'm sorry, but before we fight, please wait for me for a moment. Chapter 1342. What is that human trying to do? Upon hearing Du Xiaofu's words, many people frowned in confusion. Even Jialo Juixi, who was floating in the sky, looked at Du Xiaofu, who was in the air below, and frowned slightly. What is father trying to do? Little Xingxing had been by the old lady's side. At this moment, his bewitching eyes were filled with confusion. What is the palace master up to this time? Little Ying, Raging Bear King, Fantasy Tiger King, and the rest looked at each other in confusion. Under the attentive gazes of the crowd, Du Xiaofu directly sat cross-legged on the square. Both of his eyes were shut, and a hand seal was quickly formed in his hands. Not long after, many puzzled gazes discovered that a vigorous aura had begun to quietly surge out from Du Xiaofu's body as golden runes rippled. As the aura spread, the surroundings began to ripple. Space seemed to solidify as natural energy began to descend from the sky. Boom! Wave after wave of natural energy began to gather in a strange manner, causing spatial cracks to appear in the surrounding space. Finally, they gathered around Du Xiaofu in the square. That is, at this moment, the gazes of the people in the square trembled violently. That human Du Xiaofu seems to be breaking through. That's right, Du Xiaofu is breaking through. Fuck, that little girl with the body of a strange dragon is already a freak. Is this Du Xiaofu also a freak? He broke through just like that. Everyone was shocked as they sensed the aura ripples and watched the vigorous natural energy that had gathered in the sky endlessly surge into Du Xiaofu's body. Everyone was certain that the human Du Xiaofu was beginning to break through. Primordial chaos is the truth, the Tao. It is the great Tao of heaven and earth. It is large and has no external, small and no internal. It is one with the Tao, one with the Tao. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's mouth was muttering like little Xingxing when he broke through to Nirvana stage. Besides the golden light fluctuation on his body, there was also a strange black and white qi that intertwined and circulated. The positive and negative qi alternated like a fluorescent light and flickering fire. High up in the sky, winds and clouds began to surge. The heavens darkened, and there seemed to be stars shining brilliantly. It was a magnificent sight, and its aura surged. That human is also breaking through to the Nirvana realm. At the elders' seats, some of the elders couldn't help but exclaim in shock. They had already seen through the clues at a glance. At this moment, the human youth Du Xiaofu and the little girl with the mysterious origin of the little alien dragon were also beginning to break through to the Nirvana realm. They both broke through as they wished. Damn! The Hall Master is preparing to break through to the Nirvana realm. Little Ying, Fantasy Tiger King, Violent Bear King, and the others finally understood what was going on. That ferocious fellow was actually about to break through on the spot. At this moment, Ghost Chariot, who was at the side, had an even more complicated expression. Ghost Chariot was very clear that not long ago, that ferocious fellow had just broken through to the chaotic element martial venerable level. At this moment, that ferocious fellow was already preparing to break through to the Nirvana Beast venerable level. Not to mention the Beast Clan. Even the most talented human would not be able to break through at this speed under normal circumstances. However, Ghost Chariot was very clear about how long that ferocious fellow was using to break through. Therefore, he was even more shocked. At this moment, outsiders naturally didn't know about the benefits Du Xiaofu had gained during this period of time. He hadn't stopped comprehending various things either. Moreover, Du Xiaofu's cultivation level had already reached the peak of the chaotic element martial venerable level. Previously, because of little Xingxing's breakthrough, Du Xiaofu was also the most affected. He seemed to have comprehended something and vaguely felt that wonderful breakthrough opportunity. Now that he had to face Jialo Juixi, Du Xiaofu knew that if he was still a chaotic element martial venerable, he would only be abused. However, if he could break through to the Nirvana realm, even if he had just broken through, there would be a world of difference between him and a peak chaotic element martial venerable. Once he reached the Nirvana martial venerable level, Du Xiaofu would have some confidence in his heart. At the very least, it wouldn't be too easy for Jialo Juixi to defeat him. Boom! In just a short time, Du Xiaofu's aura had reached an extremely full state under the nourishment of the surrounding heaven and earth energy. At this moment, the aura that emanated from Du Xiaofu's body had also reached a level that made one's expression change. As he absorbed the heaven and earth energy, an invisible aura surged out of Du Xiaofu's body like a tide. The surrounding heaven and earth energy continued to nourish Du Xiaofu continuously. His aura rose at an extremely fast speed. A powerful aura constantly spread out from Du Xiaofu's body. At this moment, the strange black and white halo around Du Xiaofu's body also enveloped Du Xiaofu's entire body. Waves of powerful and strange fluctuations were emitted, giving off a mysterious and incomparably vigorous feeling. How can his aura be so strong? In the elders' seats, Some of the elders exclaimed in astonishment when they felt the strength and vigor of the aura. Rumble. In the sky, the heaven and earth energy that had gathered surged more and more. Then, like a whirlpool, it formed a storm. Like a flash flood, it turned into energy ribbons that fell directly on the halo around Du Xiaofu's body and finally entered Du Xiaofu's body. Swish. Swish. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body, which was sitting cross-legged with his eyes tightly shut, was like a bottomless pit that absorbed the surging energy. His purple robe fluttered. Faintly, a strange purple-gold light overflowed on Du Xiaofu's skin. Bam! Finally, the divine watchtower in Du Xiaofu's abdomen trembled. A wave of aura, which was as flat as the great Tao, directly stepped into a new level. Walala, Du Xiaofu, who was sitting cross-legged on the square, was surrounded by golden light and white light. As a new wave of aura spread out, his body emitted the sound of flowing water. It was vigorous and vigorous. At this moment, purple gold light overflowed on Du Xiaofu's body. There were also golden talisman runes flashing and flowing on his body. His flesh was wriggling, as if it was made of real purple gold. It gave off an indestructible feeling. That's the cultivation method of my clan. It has truly reached the stage of refining the divine body. It seems to be more stable and tyrannical than the conjoined body of Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Jumi. Great Guardian Jialo Huanyu said in astonishment. How can Du Xiaofu's aura be so strong after breaking through to the Nirvana realm? Fourth Elder Jialo Yu was shocked. At this moment, the aura emanating from Du Xiaofu's body was too vigorous and tyrannical. Fourth Elder clearly knew that it was impossible for a human cultivator to have such a powerful aura after breaking through to the Nirvana realm. Did he break through just like that? A young expert from the Golden Rock clan stared at the back of the purple-robed young man who was sitting cross-legged on the square. He was so shocked that he could not take his eyes off him. This is too unbelievable. An elder in the elders' seating area exclaimed in surprise. This human is too abnormal. A beautiful lady from the Golden Rock clan exclaimed. Her eyes shone with golden light. Looking at Du Xiaofu's breakthrough, many experts from the Golden Rock clan were still in a daze. He had broken through to the Nirvana realm, which was equivalent to the Nirvana realm of the Beast clan. It was extremely difficult to break through. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu had broken through to the Nirvana realm as if it was an understatement. As Du Xiaofu's aura broke through to a new level, the energy of heaven and earth in the sky gradually dissipated. The vortex formed by the energy of heaven and earth that was wreaking havoc in the sky gradually became thinner, as if it was about to dissipate completely. Huff, huff! The surrounding people gasped as they looked at the purple-robed young man in front of them. They were deeply shocked by the scene of him breaking through to the Nirvana realm at any time. When the last trace of energy of heaven and earth was about to dissipate completely, the crowd gasped. Suddenly, the energy of heaven and earth that was about to dissipate trembled again. Boom! In an instant, the energy of heaven and earth in the surroundings gathered violently again. The speed at which it gathered was much more terrifying than before. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. Crackle! Strange electric arcs appeared in the sky, and the void where the electric arcs fluctuated seemed to be distorted. Almost at the same time, the golden light on Du Xiaofu's body dissipated, and in its place was an ancient white light with an ancient aura. It was like a divine light. Waves of energy of heaven and earth gathered above Du Xiaofu's head. Unlike before, the energy of heaven and earth fell from the energy vortex. Although it enveloped Du Xiaofu, more of it surged into the space between Du Xiaofu's eyebrows. Crackle! The energy of heaven and earth was accompanied by a kind of energy that could fuse with the Yuan spirit in Du Xiaofu's mind. The moment it fused, Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit in his Naiwan palace began to erupt with a devouring power that could nourish his Yuan spirit. His Yuan spirit was being nourished and strengthened. A warm and carefree feeling also spread from Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit. This caused the aura on Du Xiaofu's body to rise once again, causing the surrounding sky to tremble. At this moment, an energy fluctuation that was difficult to detect with the naked eye was quietly released from between Du Xiaofu's eyebrows. Finally, it enveloped the sky above the square. For some reason, the beast souls of the weaker members of the great golden-winged Peng clan trembled violently. Soul Symbol Master. That brat is still a Soul Symbol Master. He is breaking through to become an 8-star Nirvana Soul Symbol Master. At the elders' seats, an elder dressed in long robes trembled as he exclaimed, breaking through to the Nirvana realm at the same time as Martial Talisman Dao. Is the Hall Master trying to defy the heavens? Raging Bear King spoke as he stared intently at the square. At this moment, he could also tell what was happening. Not only had the Hall Master broken through to the Nirvana Martial Honorable Realm, but he was also breaking through to the Soul Symbol Master and Talisman Dao. This ferocious fellow is not letting anyone live. Qin Demon spoke. His white robes were purer than snow, and his figure was straight. The corners of his red lips were slightly curled as he stood there. He looked indescribably otherworldly. However, at this moment, Qin Demon's face was filled with astonishment and shock. Soon after, a bitter smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. Chapter 1343. Rumble. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky as several faintly visible electric arcs appeared. Walala. As these electric arcs spread out in the sky, the world suddenly rippled like boiling water. At this moment, Jialo Jueju was also alarmed. He looked at the electric arcs caused by Du Xiaofu and revealed a surprised and doubtful expression. Bang! A low muffled sound suddenly came from Du Xiaofu's body. Immediately, many spatial ripples in the surrounding sky burst open. Boom! An invisible energy swept out in all directions and swept across the sky. It was a vast Yuan spirit spiritual power. It was like a torrential flood that spread across the world with lightning speed. What a powerful Yuan spirit spiritual power! Feeling the vast Yuan spirit spiritual power, the first elder, the second elder, Jialo Changtian, and the others in the elders' seats quietly changed their expressions as shock flashed across their eyes. Even the old lady in the sky had a shocked expression on her wrinkled face. Father has broken through to an 8-star Nirvana spiritual symbol master. Beside the old lady, Little Star revealed a smile and was very happy. He has successfully broken through again. Illusion Tiger King and the others looked at the purple-robed figure in the square, who was wrapped in white divine light. A vast and surging Yuan spirit spiritual power swept out in all directions like a tide and soared into the sky. The Yuan spirit's spiritual strength seemed to be mixed with a pressure similar to that of a sovereign. At this moment, in the entire Great Golden-Winged Rock Clan, other than the top experts, the rest of the Great Golden-Winged Rock Clan felt an intense Yuan spirit spiritual power pressure. Under that pressure, even the bodies of the Great Golden-Winged Rock Clan could not help but tremble slightly. His physical body is strong, but his Yuan spirit spiritual power is definitely not weaker than his physical body. Jialo Kaling looked at the square and muttered softly. She knew how strong that guy's physical body was. Even in the Great Golden-Winged Rock Clan, there were not many disciples who could be compared to him. Now, Jialo Kaling could also feel that the soul power of the primordial spirit spreading out from that guy's body was definitely not weaker than his physical body. It was likely that an ordinary 8-star Nirvana symbol master would not be able to compare with the spiritual strength of such a Yuan spirit. Breaking through to the rebirth realm in the martial Dao, and breaking through in the talisman Dao as well. This human is truly formidable. Looking at Du Xiaofu on the square and sensing the vast power of the origin spirit that permeated the surroundings, some of the golden-winged great rocks who originally did not take Du Xiaofu seriously felt a change in their hearts. A Nirvana martial saint, an 8-star Nirvana spiritual talisman master, could break it just like that. How powerful was that? Moreover, his terrifying aura and terrifying Yuan spirit spiritual energy caused the surroundings to be shocked. Some of the disciples of the golden-winged great rocks instinctively did not care about humans. However, when they felt the pressure of the vast soul energy of the primordial spirit, they could not help but shudder in fear. He knew that if that Yuan spirit soul energy were to attack them, the consequences could be imagined. Has he successfully broken through to the 8-star Nirvana spiritual talisman master? The zither demon Shangguan Qi Xian looked at Du Xiaofu who was currently wrapped by the surging spiritual strength, and raised his eyebrows slightly. If an ordinary spiritual talisman master wanted to break through to the 8-star nirvana stage, there was definitely a chance of failure. At this moment, the advancement of that ferocious fellow, regardless of whether it was the martial Tao or the talisman Tao, was achieved naturally. Everything was incomparably smooth, and no obstruction appeared along the way. It was like a hot knife through butter, causing one to be involuntarily shocked. Rumble. Aura surged, and a powerful aura spread out from Du Xiaofu's body in the square. It was many times stronger than the aura on Du Xiaofu's body earlier. The aura slowly weakened, and everything calmed down until the wind blew and the clouds faded. When everything calmed down, a mouthful of turbid air was exhaled from Du Xiaofu's mouth in front of the many shocked and uncertain gazes from the surroundings. Sizzle, sizzle. His tightly shut eyes suddenly opened as he exhaled the turbid air. His eyes were clear, but silver-yellow lightning arcs overflowed, causing one's heart to tremble. Soon after, purple-gold lightning arcs appeared within his eyes. Golden light and purple flames surged, appearing extremely complicated. 8-star Nirvana Spiritual Talisman Master, Nirvana Martial Sovereign. Feeling the abundant profound qi in his body and the abundant spiritual strength in his Niwen Palace, a powerful energy rippled within his body. A smile appeared on the corner of Du Xiaofu's mouth. Du Xiaofu originally only wanted to break through to the Nirvana Martial Sovereign level in the Martial Tao. He did not expect that he would also make another breakthrough in the Talisman Tao and step into the Nirvana stage together. The Nirvana stage was the strongest under the Domain stage. Back then, it was unattainable. Now that he had stepped into both stages and felt everything in his body become stronger, a heroic spirit surged out from Du Xiaofu's heart. Could it be that he was afraid of someone at the same level? Jialo Jumi, we can fight now. The instant his voice resounded through the clouds, the square suddenly trembled, following which a dazzling golden light soared into the sky. Buzz! Wind and thunder resounded, and golden light filled the sky, causing the entire sky to explode with golden light. A terrifying and domineering supreme aura descended, and the surrounding disciples of the golden-winged great rocks who were not strong enough trembled in fear. In midair, everyone watched as the golden wings of the great Pong stretched out behind Du Xiaofu's back. His entire body was wrapped in golden light, incomparably domineering. For many disciples of the golden-winged great Pong clan, it was their first time seeing Du Xiaofu in action. This scene shocked them. The aura of the clan, the golden wings of the great Pong, Jialo Jumi looked at Du Xiaofu. His gaze landed on the golden wings of the great Pong clan behind Du Xiaofu. Feeling the aura of Du Xiaofu's body, ripples appeared in the depths of his pitch-black eyes. You just broke through to the Nirvana Martial Sovereign level. You overestimate yourself. At the same time, Jialo Jumi also made his move. With a sweep of his long sleeve, his palm directly slapped towards Du Xiaofu. As Jialo Jumi made his move, his expression was also indifferent, with a faint and sharp chill. He did not take Du Xiaofu seriously at all. A human who had just broken through to the Nirvana Martial Sovereign level seemed to have some special abilities. However, for Jialo Jumi, if it was under normal circumstances, he would not even take a second look at him. Boom! Jialo Jumi slapped out with his palm. The mysterious black and gold runes suddenly erupted, transforming into a huge illusory wing of the great Pong clan that swept across the sky. Accompanied by resplendent and profound runes and power, it instantly spread in front of Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered as golden light surged in his eyes. His 5 fingers bent and a claw directly stretched out from his hand. The 5 claw prints were like golden lightning, with 5 faintly visible dents, revealing a faint pitch-black arc of light, directly grabbing the illusory wing. Chi-la, the two collided, runes erupted, and a terrifying aura surged between the claw print and the wing, destroying the sky and stirring up a terrifying energy frenzy. And under that energy frenzy, Du Xiaofu's figure broke through the sky, the great Pong clan's golden wings flapping behind him. Hand seals condensed in his hands, and a scarlet cloud dragon and a green head dragon phantom, like 2 dragons emerging from the sea, roared and rushed towards Jialo Jumi. Ao Ao! The dragon rushed out, its aura terrifying. That was Du Xiaofu's beast energy. At this moment, Jialo Jumi's pitch-black eyes changed slightly. With a sweep of his sleeve, a large expanse of black and gold runes swept out, converging into two lightning bolts, directly destroying Du Xiaofu's scarlet cloud dragon and green head dragon phantoms. Ao Wu, but at the same time, the surrounding beast roared like thunder, and the phantoms of strange beasts circled around him, roaring ferociously. There was the ancient bloodline Huado, the ancient Tang Shi, and the Bai and Xieji. Pressure descended, and with a terrifying momentum, they all pounced towards Jialo Jumi. Ao Wu, those ferocious beast phantoms caused the sky to be boundlessly terrifying, and all kinds of runes boiled. Heavens, just how much beast energy did that human comprehend, and to such an extent? In the square, the experts of the golden-winged Great Peng clan cried out in alarm. The higher the bloodline of the beast race, the harder it was to comprehend. This was a fact that everyone knew. But now, that human Du Xiaofu was using beast energy that came from ancient times, shocking everyone present. Break! Those beast phantoms pounced over, fiercely shaking the sky. Jialo Jumi's face sank, and with a cold shout, a dazzling black and gold rune erupted from his palm, transforming into a black and gold Great Peng phantom, spiraling and flapping its wings. This Great Peng phantom was deep, and had a kind of aura that could destroy all things, looking down on all directions. It immediately caused Huado, Tang Shi, and the other beast phantoms to tremble. Gee! The black gold golden-winged great rock flapped its wings. With an unstoppable and overbearing manner, it forcefully suppressed and destroyed the beast energy that Du Xiaofu had unleashed. Ao! A dragon's roar shook the sky, and an azure dragon phantom soared into the sky, carrying a terrifying dragon's might, and fiercely collided with the dark golden Great Peng phantom. This was the azure dragon beast energy that Du Xiaofu had comprehended from Dragon Nine's bones and blood essence, and the true azure dragons might spread out in all directions. Rumble! Such a collision caused endless rumbles in the depths of the sky, and the azure dragon phantom and the dark golden Great Peng phantom were both annihilated. Chi! Du Xiaofu's figure floated like a god, changing unpredictably. Golden light rose, and the moment the two beast phantoms were annihilated, Du Xiaofu's figure also appeared directly in front of Jialo Jumi. Suddenly, golden lightning surged in his eyes, sharp and frightening. Tyrannical fist way. With a loud shout, Du Xiaofu's hand seals changed, and golden light enveloped the surroundings, and a tyrannical and fierce aura suddenly swept out. With a shake of his arm, a fist wrapped in golden light blasted out. Chapter 1344. In the depths of Jialo Jumi's pitch-black eyes, a trace of shock flashed across his face. Amidst the undulating black gold runes, a claw shot out to block the attack. Chi! As the two collided, astonishing energy and resplendent light swept out. Ding ding! As the monstrous energy spread out, Du Xiaofu's body was forced back several steps, covering hundreds of meters in the air. At this moment, Jialo Jumi's black robes fluttered, his hair danced, and his figure was also drawn back in a straight line. That Du Xiaofu actually blocked Jialo Jumi's attack. Looking at the commotion in the air, everyone could see that Du Xiaofu and Jialo Jumi were actually not much different. And in the attack just now, Du Xiaofu had taken the initiative to attack. It was as fast as lightning, as powerful as thunder, and was incomparably fierce and domineering, faintly suppressing Jialo Jumi. This made many people's jaws drop, and they were all dumbfounded. In the elders' seats, no one said anything. But at this moment, all eyes were fixed on the sky, and there were ripples in their eyes. It was likely that all the elders and protectors were shocked in their hearts at this moment. Huff! Du Xiaofu's chest rose and fell as he took a deep breath, and then exhaled a long breath from his mouth. As he exhaled, Du Xiaofu slowly raised his head, his already golden eyes looking at Jialo Jumi, his clear eyes gradually sharpening. Just now, Du Xiaofu had already used all his strength. In front of the tyrannical fist, Jialo Jumi was not injured at all and had easily blocked it. This made Du Xiaofu's heart heavy. The Jialo Jumi in front of him was definitely the strongest expert of the same generation he had encountered so far. Even the pure-blooded descendants of dragons like Dragon 8, Dragon 9, and Dragon 7 could not compare. Du Xiaofu thought that the only person who could be compared to him was the moksha of the devil religion that he had met on Tianhuang mainland. However, he did not know how powerful the moksha was now. As for Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaoqing, and Qi Yishi, Du Xiaofu didn't know how strong they were, so he couldn't compare them. You're indeed not weak. Granny didn't misjudge you. Among the humans, you're the most talented and strongest person I've ever seen. However, you're still not him. Jialo Jumi looked at Du Xiaofu with a slight change in his expression. However, from the beginning to the end, he was still indifferent and arrogant. He emitted a terrifying aura, and the pressure of the sovereign beast clan fluctuated slowly, causing the people below to tremble. Even though Du Xiaofu was far away, he was constantly oppressed by Jialo Jumi's aura. You're not bad either. You're even stronger than Dragon 8 and Dragon 7. However, Dragon 8 and Dragon 7 have already been beaten up. I wonder if you'll be beaten up by me next? Du Xiaofu said. Golden light rippled from his body as he confronted Jialo Jumi. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, Jialo Jumi's black robe fluttered as he stared at Du Xiaofu. At this moment, everyone could feel a monstrous and fierce aura, along with a kind of demonic qi, sweeping out from Jialo Jumi's body like a storm. At this moment, Jialo Jumi's pitch-black eyes turned black and gold, exuding a chilling coldness. You're thinking too much. Jialo Jumi looked at Du Xiaofu seriously for the first time. As he spoke, a monstrous demonic qi swept out in all directions from his body, causing the sky to suddenly freeze. High up in the sky, two equally tall and extraordinary youths faced each other. One of them had a pair of dazzling golden eyes and was incomparably domineering. The other had a pair of deep, black gold eyes and a monstrous demonic qi, incomparably fierce. One was the human clan's demon king, and the other was the beast sovereign. Whether it was in terms of talent or talent, these two youths were peak existences among their peers. You'll know once you try. Du Xiaofu's blood boiled, and his fighting spirit soared. His golden eyes shone brightly, and his nirvana martial venerable cultivation erupted without reservation. His purple robe fluttered, and his exposed skin revealed a purple-gold color. This was the tempering of his divine body, the true Peng realm. The true Peng realm? Huh? Interesting. Jialo Jumi sneered, and the demonic qi in his eyes grew denser. His black robe fluttered, and a strange aura quietly spread out from his body. When his voice fell, Jialo Jumi's figure strangely disappeared from where he stood. The moment Jialo Jumi's figure disappeared, Du Xiaofu's golden eyes suddenly widened. To be able to make me go all out, you can be considered qualified to fight with me. As his voice rang out, Jialo Jumi, who had just disappeared, appeared in front of Du Xiaofu in a flash of lightning. Jialo Jumi's figure was like a falcon pouncing on its prey. His momentum was like thunder, and a series of afterimages were like lightning. His demonic qi overflowed the sky. So fast. This thought flashed through Du Xiaofu's mind. The speed of the golden-winged Peng clan was already unprecedented, and at this moment, Jialo Jumi's speed was even more extraordinary. Jialo Jumi's speed was so fast that even Du Xiaofu, with his keen soul strength, found it difficult to detect him in advance. His figure drifted like a god, changing unpredictably. Using the wave-like carefree steps, Du Xiaofu's body immediately retreated in a wonderful arc, chi. And just as Du Xiaofu's figure was retreating, his speed was blocked, and the surrounding space solidified. Jialo Jumi's aura affected the solidified space. His palm was wrapped in black gold runes, and he clenched his palm into a fist. Wherever his fist passed, the space exploded one after another, and he directly blasted towards Du Xiaofu's chest. At this moment, Jialo Jumi's attack, whether it was power or speed, was several times faster than before. It was even more fierce and cunning. The moment Jialo Jumi attacked, it was obvious that he was definitely a ruthless person who had experienced hundreds of battles. He must have been honed in these years outside, which was something that other golden-winged Peng clan's peers did not possess. Chi 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 chi. Du Xiaofu quickly retreated, the Peng golden wings on his back flapping. But Jialo Jimmy's speed was even faster, and he instantly arrived at Du Xiaofu's chest. In front of that terrifying fist, Du Xiaofu's gaze suddenly darkened. His body sank in a straight line, using a stiff and unsightly posture, but he had effectively avoided Jialo Juexi's fist. Humph! Jialo Jimmy snorted, and his figure suddenly stopped. His foot stomped on the air, and bright runes gushed out from the sole of his foot as he directly stepped towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's figure sank, and a foot wrapped in dark golden runes stepped down like lightning. Boom! Jialo Jimmy's fierce and domineering foot rapidly enlarged in Du Xiaofu's raised eyes. In an instant, it was less than 10 feet above his head, and the surrounding space was still solidifying. In an instant, Du Xiaofu's hands formed hand seals with lightning speed. Numerous afterimages flew out, and the profound energy in his body was like a torrential flood as it followed the hand seals and condensed into a resplendent golden palm seal. The golden palm floated above the palm, and a powerful energy pressure spread out from it, causing the surrounding space to violently tremble. Xiaoyang seal. Du Xiaofu raised his palm to meet it, and in a flash, it fiercely collided with Jialo Jimmy's foot. An earth-shattering voice suddenly resounded in the sky. Rumble. In an instant, terrifying rune energy ripples swept out like stormy waves. At the center of the energy storm, the surrounding space seemed to have collapsed, creating a huge, pitch-black hole. Chi 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 chi. Du Xiaofu's body tilted and fell, and finally landed heavily on the square. His feet staggered backwards, and with every step he took, the seal on the square began to crack. Chi chi chi. Jialo Jimmy's body was blocked by Du Xiaofu's Xiaoyang seal, and only paused for a moment. His body was wrapped in bright golden runes, and his body swooped down, and a claw stretched out. In front of the claw, 5 fierce and domineering auras quietly spread out, accompanied by demonic energy. In an instant, the claw directly pressed towards Du Xiaofu. The claw enveloped his head, and the invisible force distorted the void. It instantly descended, and a large area of space under the claw froze. Boom! Du Xiaofu raised his head, and his feet fiercely stomped on the ground. The square under his feet cracked like a spider web. His hand seals changed rapidly, and a terrifying aura spread out from his body, shaking the void like the roar of wind and thunder. The aura surged and shook the void. At the same time, Du Xiaofu raised his head, and a loud roar came from his mouth, like a dragon roaring in the 9 heavens, like a divine elephant trumpeting. Ayo! Under this loud roar, sound waves swept out like a tsunami, surging in all directions, causing the surrounding world to tremble violently. Ayo, 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 ayo. Suddenly, the entire void rumbled, and countless loud roars echoed, like thunder from the 9 heavens resounding through the world. It was so shocking that it made one's heart tremble in fear. Rumble. In an instant, the surging sound waves were accompanied by a ripple of golden rune energy, like a vast ocean surging and spreading. Wave after wave of sound waves soared into the sky, layer by layer, sweeping over Jialo Jimmy's claw. These sound waves contained a kind of martial arts, accompanied by an attack that affected the soul. When they collided with Jialo Jimmy's claw, it began to shatter, causing the space to boil. Ka-ka! The claw was shattered by the sound waves, and under the terrifying soul attack contained in the sound waves, Jialo Jimmy had no choice but to retreat. Chi! But the moment the latter's figure retreated, a bolt of energy in his hand, like a bolt of lightning, fell towards Du Xiaofu. The first few reader groups are already full. Sitong has opened a new group called Martial God's World, group number 477107565. Everyone can join. Xiaoyu will occasionally appear in the group, but he is not allowed to bully me in the group. Boom! The energy bolt fell on Du Xiaofu's body, and a muffled explosion sounded. Waves of resplendent black gold energy ripples immediately spread out in a circular manner from the plaza that was buffed, causing the surrounding plaza to shake and the mountains to shake. Under the shocked and dazed gazes of many, The space exploded, but Du Xiaofu's body did not bleed at all, and his figure strangely disappeared. Qi. When Du Xiaofu's figure reappeared, he had already flapped his wings and appeared in midair, golden light shining brightly as he stood in the air. Chapter 1345. What a strong brat! Fifth Elder Jialo Yuan-tu exclaimed from the elders' seats. He had never imagined that Du Xiaofu would be able to fight with Jialo Juexiao to such an extent. That fierce battle just now, whether it was in terms of speed or power, was the pinnacle of their generation. It could practically become a model for the younger generation. The other elders and protectors did not say anything, but from the stunned expressions on their faces, the shock in their hearts was absolutely no less than Fifth Elder Jialo Yuan-tu's. The square was silent, all eyes fixed on the scene. Some of the extraordinary youths of the younger generation, such as Jialo Juekong, were even more shocked at this moment. Originally, the battle between Jialo Juexiao and Jialo Jueyu had been the fiercest and most domineering suppression from the start. The goal was more to defeat the opponent in the most domineering way. However, the battle between Du Xiaofu and Jialo Juexiao just now was more of a swift and fierce battle. Those who had not experienced hundreds of battles would not be able to react in time. No matter how strong they would still be at a disadvantage. In contrast, the battle between Jialo Jueyu and Jialo Juexiao was like two strong men smashing boulders against each other. They completely suppressed each other with absolute strength, fierce and domineering. And the battle between Du Xiaofu and Jialo Juexiao was the complete opposite. It lacked the fierceness, but was more fierce and cunning. That kind of battle that was as fast as lightning, cunning and vicious might not be as shocking as the battle between Jialo Juexiao and Jialo Jueyu in terms of visual impact, but the degree of danger was far higher, containing danger at all times. It was not difficult for some of the experts of the great golden-winged Peng clan to see that Jialo Juexiao wanted to use the most effortless method to defeat Du Xiaofu. Jialo Juexiao could not tolerate using his true body against a human. However, Jialo Julia did not manage to do so in the end. The human Du Xiaofu had exceeded his expectations, as well as everyone's expectations. He had completely blocked Jialo Julia's swift, fierce, and even vicious attacks. This result caused the hearts of some of the younger generation of golden-winged rocks to tremble fiercely. They knew that if they had been the ones dealing with the Jialo Jumi just now, they definitely wouldn't have been able to withstand a single round. Interesting, but it can end now. Jialo Jumi spoke again, as he watched Du Xiaofu step by step across the sky. Around him, dazzling black and gold runes erupted. Everything happened unbelievably fast. In the blink of an eye, Jialo Juime's figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Dazzling black and gold runes spread out from his body like lightning, finally turning into a terrifying black and gold vortex of light that appeared in the surroundings. Rumble. Within that terrifying black and gold vortex, a huge suction force erupted, instantly enveloping the surrounding space and also enveloping Du Xiaofu, intending to drag Du Xiaofu into it. The phantom of a golden-winged rock faintly soared out from the energy vortex. Very powerful. In the blink of an eye, Du Xiaofu's expression changed. The power surging out of that terrifying vortex contained a familiar aura. It was the will of the golden-winged rock's supreme beast. Peng descends to the ninth heaven. At this moment, Du Xiaofu suddenly raised his head, and the golden wings of the rock behind him suddenly swept out. Peng descends to the ninth heaven. Dazzling golden light erupted. At the same time, Du Xiaofu also activated Peng descends to the ninth heaven, carrying the domineering will of the golden-winged rock race. Crash! The two supreme beasts of the golden-winged rock race confronted each other. There wasn't too much of a sonic boom, but a surging, dazzling light constantly emitted, spreading out an astonishing pressure. The black and gold rune vortex grew larger and larger, and the energy gushing out from it also became more and more terrifying, wanting to suppress Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's entire body surged with golden light, and the golden wings of the rock behind him opened and closed wide, sweeping across the sky. A powerful suppression force swept out, and his aura swept across the sky, resisting and trying to break free. A series of dazzling runes burst out in midair, and the two collided. The pressure swept out, and the surrounding heaven and earth trembled, and a large area of space rippled and shattered. But in the end, not too long later, Du Xiaofu fell into a disadvantage. Both of them activated Pong descends to the ninth heaven, but the Jialo Jumi had the upper hand and was gradually swallowed up by the energy vortex. The golden runes on Du Xiaofu's golden rock wings were worn down and dimmed. Tiny cracks began to appear on Du Xiaofu's body under the terrible pressure, and pale golden blood seeped out. After all, Du Xiaofu has just broken through to the Nirvana Martial Saint realm, and the Jialo Jumi is already at the peak of the Nirvana Martial Saint realm and could have broken through to the Beast region long ago. Besides, the human race can't compare to our race. He's already done his best. An old elder sighed. He was already shocked by Du Xiaofu, but compared to the Jialo Jumi, this result was within everyone's expectations. How could a human who had just broken through to the Nirvana Martial Saint realm be a match for the Jialo Jumi? Jialo Changtian looked at the sky without speaking, and his eyes flickered slightly. Now, it's all over. An indifferent voice entered Du Xiaofu's ears, causing Du Xiaofu's pupils to shrink slightly, and a feeling of unease welled up in his heart. At the same time, a resplendent black-gold palm print seemed to rush out of the energy vortex, and with the momentum of a thunderbolt, it slammed into Du Xiaofu's body. Boom! Du Xiaofu's chest thundered, and his entire body trembled. His aura fluctuated violently, and a mouthful of blood bubbled up from his chest, violently spurting out from his mouth. The black gold palm print fell, but that was far from it. Immediately after, several fist prints were incomparably fierce, vicious, and ferocious. Accompanied by surging demonic chi, they landed on Du Xiaofu's chest as fast as lightning. Bang, bang, bang. A series of muffled sounds exploded from Du Xiaofu's chest, and a mouthful of blood was spat out from Du Xiaofu's mouth. In an instant, the faint golden blood on Du Xiaofu's body seeped into his purple robes, and where the robes exploded, his body cracked and bloody holes appeared. Bang! Du Xiaofu's body fell from the sky like a meteorite, heavily crashing into the ground of the square. Crack, crack. Where he landed, the reinforced ground of the square began to crack. Whoosh! This sudden change caused an uproar to erupt from the surroundings. Du Xiaofu's defeat seemed to be within everyone's expectations, but at this moment, everyone was very surprised. Could it be that Du Xiaofu is going to be defeated in the end? The gazes of many golden-winged rocks changed slightly. In front of Jialo Jueyu, even Jialo Jueyu had been defeated, so Du Xiaofu would not be able to escape defeat in the end. The Temple Master won't be defeated, right? Seeing Du Xiaofu charging down, Wild Bear King was immediately worried. The Temple Master won't be defeated so easily. The Temple Master's physical body is not simple. It's not enough for him to be defeated, Little Ling Ying said to Wild Bear King. He had personally experienced the Temple Master's physical body. Wild Bear King was stunned. He naturally knew that the Temple Master's physical body was tyrannical, but he was still worried. He muttered, "But with Jialo Jueyu's attack, I'm afraid that an ordinary Nirvana Martial Venerable would have been completely destroyed. The Temple Master's physical body is not something an ordinary Nirvana Martial Venerable can compare to. In terms of physical body, I'm afraid that he is at least not weaker than Jialo Jueyu." Gue Che, who rarely spoke, had his eyes fixed on the falling figure in the square. He knew how powerful Jialo Jueyu was, but he also had confidence in Du Xiaofu. Just as Spiritual Fantasy Tiger King and the others were discussing, the figure in the square slowly stood up. The golden wings on his back flapped, stirring up a cloud of dust. Du Xiaofu's mouth was dripping with blood, and the bloody hole in his chest was covered with strange purple-gold electric arcs. Then, under the shocked gazes of the surrounding people, the bloody hole in Du Xiaofu's chest slowly healed. The small cracks on his body also strangely healed. This strange change stunned the eyes of the elders. Clearly, the physical body of the golden-winged Great Peng Bird clan did not have such a strange effect. Puff! Du Xiaofu spat out the remaining blood in his mouth onto the square. Then, he looked at Jialo Jueyu in the air and curled the corners of his mouth. Faint golden blood hung at the corner of his mouth, making his face look even more ferocious. Not a bad physical body. In the air, Giallo Jumi spoke indifferently. However, at this moment, his pitch-black eyes narrowed slightly. He was well aware of how much power he had used just now. If an ordinary Nirvana martial sovereign was hit by his attack, he would definitely explode. However, the former did not seem to be affected much. You are indeed very strong. Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked at Jialo Jueyu, a bitter smile appearing on his face. This was the first time he had suffered such a serious injury in a fight with someone of the same generation. Let's see if your body is strong enough to protect you. As his voice faded, Jialo Jueyu once again strangely appeared in front of Du Xiaofu, and a terrifying supreme being aura froze the space. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. Golden light surged as he used the wave-like free footwork and rapidly retreated. Too slow. Jialo Jueyu followed like a shadow. Like a maggot in the bone, a claw reached out, shattering the ripples in the void and grabbing at Du Xiaofu's chest. Du Xiaofu avoided his chest, but the claw changed and landed directly on Du Xiaofu's shoulder, tearing the space apart. Swish! The purple robe on Du Xiaofu's shoulder was torn apart, dripping with blood. A piece of flesh on his shoulder was also torn apart, almost revealing deep white bones. Bang! Jialo Jueyu took the opportunity to close in. His fist was like thunder, and once again landed on Du Xiaofu's chest. A bright rune gushed out, and a huge force swept in.